What is up, everybody? Oh, Titan Dandy here, and not just normal Titan Dandy. This is Excited Titan Dandy because we are here to talk about Smite 2. And not just any Smite 2, Smite 2's closed Alpha 1. That is the beginning of 24/7 Smite 2, which is so exciting. All right, I'm pumped. And I'm pumped here to be joined by some people that I haven't been able to do a show with in quite a while. Some of my favorite homies here in Titan Forge Studios. We have AJ, Pawn, and Clumsy. How are y'all doing?
Let's go.
Let's go. It's a big day. Lots to talk about.
Whew. All right, so as I've already said, we're talking Smite
3 of my favorite designers at Hi-Res.
24/7, and we're talking
Ajax, Pawn, and Clumsy. Those
Tuesday.
three are like
right around the corner. And oh man, I have
those
so
are the
many
trio
things to say.
right
So
there. Those
let's
are the
just
trio.
Start off with some information about Smite 2 because I think that'll be good to know. So this is the Dandy Reads section. So we have. I mean, I've already said most of this, right? 24/7 is coming next Tuesday for Smite 2. It is still closed alpha, so it's not completely open to everybody yet. You still will need game access to get in, but this will be happening next Tuesday. When next Tuesday, we're thinking early morning-ish times in the the eastern part of the world, Eastern Standard type part of the world.
Not really the eastern part of the world.
It'll be the morning,
commonly,
so look out for that next Tuesday.
Referred to as the West.
I got a
the
list
East
of regions
is totally
here
a different thing than the
have
East
full
Coast.
matchmaking
That's
support
okay,
for
Dandy.
this launch, and I'm gonna read that list right now. We have NA,
okay.
EU, LATAM North, LATAM South, North Asia, and Oceania. Oceania? Yeah. So we have all of those ready for y'all, and we're just so excited to get this game open and get y'all in and able to play all the time. You know, like it's something we've been looking forward to.
He's excited.
Since the
I'm
inception
excited
of this
for
idea,
him.
since
We're
we
all
talked about
excited
it
for
at
Smite
World,
2.
and
We
now
need
are
this.
here and knocking on the door of being able to just open the doors wide. So before we dive into the show, I guess a few other things to say. One, patch notes should be live now or live soon. So we have a ton we are talking about today. Pull those up and go through with us because we're not going to be able to read every single number because we want to go home to our families at some point. But
I don't want you to actually read every number. That's good. You shouldn't.
Talk about, which again,
that shouldn't be what patch notes are about.
Cooking back here. So to move forward, I mentioned that 24/7. It's not going to have, it's not full open free to play yet. That'll be on the way. That's eventually. But you still need access to this. So if you are looking to get guaranteed access, the best way to do that is with one of the Founders Editions for Smite 2. Now, these have been for sale for a while. Founders Editions give you a variety of different gifts across 3 different levels. If you just want to get in and play the game, go with the standard Founders Edition. But if you're as excited as we are, Ultimate Founders Edition has a lot of great stuff. And, there's a lot of check marks there. You can see what they all say. Ascension passes, Ultimate Edition badges and titles and cross-gen Tier 5 skin. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And I think this will only look more and more awesome as we get through the show today and really get into what is an Ascension pass and what does getting 23 of those look like. There's 2 times Legacy Gems. It's just a variety of things, but not the least of which is Smite 2 guaranteed access for the platform that you purchase for. Now, I specify that because during this early access stage,
you want it a little louder? I can do louder.
The platform you choose will be the platform you play
on for
a while. Of course, it'll have full, cross support for all the platforms a little later in the future as we push towards free to play. But just important to note that when you choose your Founders Edition, choose the platform you intend to play on the most right off the front, just so that you are, you have access to the game where you desire to play it for the next little bit. But either way, make sure you check these out. And also, we've heard people ask about this, and it's something that we got to work in games. You'll be able to do this next week in game. You can upgrade your Founders Edition. So if you, bought it at $30 because you wanted to give it a shot, and you're like, you know what, this is awesome. I trust they're going to keep making this great. Then you're able to upgrade.
The Founders
and still
Edition
those upgraded perks
is by far
of course,
the
Founders
most
Editions
important
won't last forever. And as you can see at the bottom there,
everything else is cosmetic.
Alpha period,
you want to play the game?
Where
$30.
We're still in closed alpha, even in 24/7 here. Is the only way to get the Kakudemon.
You're planning on buying all the cosmetics in Smite anyway?
If you're sitting on the fence,
might as well get the ultimate one because you'll save a bunch of money.
You still got some time. It's not like tomorrow, but something to look at.
You don't buy cosmetics ever, and you don't care about them, then get the base one.
Just thought we'd start off with that. So, AJ, we got a lot of stuff coming up. We did that Dev Insight show to kind of tease some things, but how about we just give people a glimpse at the major headers of some of the stuff we're talking about today?
So we're going to talk about a lot of this stuff in detail later. I'm just going to list off a lot of it right now to give you an intro of what's on the show. And I wanted to also mention that this list I'm about to read off was specifically a result of the community feedback on the Alpha Weekend tests. So thank you to everyone who participated in those tests.
Good job, everybody.
And, comments and filled out the surveys. We really appreciate that. Everyone who participates in the flash tests, we're still running now. Oh, yeah. You can get early looks at all this content if you pay attention to our Discord and jump in on those. Thank you so much. So I got a long list here. I'm going to read the long version.
Okay.
Make sure I list off everything.
Okay. Do it.
So here's what we've got in this 24/7 patch. These are the things we've done based on your feedback. The return of illustrated card art, environment art overhaul for style and fantasy, game-wide performance improvements, added the K-screen or ability screen, changed HUD updates in both art and layout, added 20 or more Smite 1 items, moved to Smite 2, adjusted minion knockback AI and grouping to better match Smite 1, changed many things about the itemization system and UI updates. We now have short description mode to view the item store. We have ward and consumable slots that function and use slots and consumables like they do in Smite 1. We have added starter items and starter item upgrades to Smite 2. We have adjusted the active item system to have more specific design changes and have better HUD support. And we revised the component building system, which essentially resulted in a rebalance of nearly every item in the game. We've also revised the god damage typing and scaling system, so all gods will only deal one type of damage, but all gods can still buy all items, and gods will be split into 3 groups: gods that scale only with strength, only intelligence, or there will still be hybrid scaling gods that can use strength and intelligence to scale their abilities. Tanks will now have a unique set of protection scaling effects on their kits, and magical and physical penetration has been reworked, removed, and replaced with just straight up penetration, so you can get that a lot more easily accessible, build different strength and intelligence combos much more easily. We've also reworked many existing mechanics to address feel issues and functionality issues and inconsistencies with Smite 1. So virtually every Smite 2 god has had a significant bug fix pass, feels pass, and just tech adjustment pass. In addition to that, we reworked many of the existing gods' visual effects for better clarity, performance, and impact, added a better LOD system that will adjust better based on your graphic settings for better performance for visual effects, and we'll be continuing to update that in the future, doing our first pass of big configurations for CPU, calculating with our particle effects emitters, and reworking many existing audio sound effects for better clarity, performance, and impact, and bringing back most of the familiar sounds from Smite 1. So that's just like the community. All of that is done in this patch.
Yeah.
And that's from your feedback.
Crazy patch.
So if you want to know more about any of those things, don't worry. They will all come up as we go through the natural flow of the show. It's not really the same order we're going to go through it, but that's the stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
That's a pretty big list.
That's good.
That's that
good.
Was almost an entire show's worth of stuff just right there in one list. Like, that is incredible. And again,
there's more. That's just the community feedback stuff. And then there's also just big features in this update that we were just working on already. So
yeah, I was about to say, that is like the huge
one
star
god, one damage type.
Just
you can have
like,
multiple
we
scalings,
all that feedback,
but one god, one
we
damage
have some
type.
Time that we're going to dive into all of this, and literally made a huge bullet point. Like, I don't know if this has been said anywhere, but like, the doc that was passed to me as we were getting ready to do this show, like, all right, here's the changes. It was 42 pages. That's like a whole book. That's a
and it didn't even include everything on there, honestly.
No, yeah. That's like a novella. So so thank y'all so much. Again, if y'all ever wondered, like, man, are they really getting our feedback? Oh, we are. We are. The team is working with it. So anyway, I guess the best thing to do is to just get started, because as you may have surmised, we have a lot of stuff to talk about, and I don't want this to be like subathon length, so we're going to dive right into it. So I guess off the top, we're getting into game modes, right? We want to talk about some of the changes we've made to the 2 existing game modes in Smite 2, Conquest and Arena. And again, I guess we'll start by touching on the map art rework that we talked about. So, you mentioned that the art's changing for just kind of across Smite in general. What does that mean?
We talked about this a lot on the Inside Show, so I don't want to go back through too much detail. But we did make very specific adjustments to the lighting, the general engine settings. One of the things that a lot of people were saying in the feedback was that it felt a little generic Unreal Engine. Yeah. So we went through and really ripped out a lot of those default effects that are in the Unreal Engine and customized them to better fit our specific style. What that's done is it really affect kind of the way things are blurred at various distances.
It looks more Smitey.
Environmental effects. We made the game more sharper and more colorful.
It looks more Smitey and also better.
Changed the lighting
at the
on
same
both
time,
the maps, and
which is cool.
Just a significant, huge effort by the environment art team to rework a massive amount of mostly the Conquest map. Arena mostly got the
I know we have some
lighting
for that too, so we can pull those
and
up.
engine setting changes.
Yeah.
Conquest had the engine setting, lighting changes, and a significant
They
amount
talked
of
about this in
individual
the
art asset
dev
changes. So this,
insight.
what we're looking at here, is Alpha Weekend.
Yep.
Okay.
Old
They
Conquest.
talked about this
Got
in
it.
the dev
Old
insight.
Conquest. Wasn't bad.
So if
You know,
you've watched
we had
all
a
of the
lot
stuff,
good
you've already
stuff
seen this
in-
before,
in
but
the-
a lot
in
of
the
people
works.
didn't watch the dev
But
insight. So
getting
they
the
haven't
feedback
seen
about
this
how to
yet.
adjust, we have pivoted to the next screenshot.
Oh yeah.
This is what it looks like now, right? So you get those bolder greens, brighter greens. You get a lot less kind of like noise.
Entire ground texture was changed.
Yeah. Ground texture, lighting change. And even if you look just at Anubis himself, you can see a lot of the results of those sharpness and color effects. Yeah, it was a really big effort across many, many departments to
For sure.
make it feel and look more like Smite, right? More unique, more fantastical, colorful, vibrant, powerful.
Honestly, I think
things
the
that people have
biggest
come to know and
change is
love
the
in Smite,
character model.
and,
Like, looking at
not
Anubis,
like a,
he's
you know,
so much
Unreal demo,
more
which, you know,
defined.
Unreal does fantastic things to get you
for
started.
sure.
Like, that
but,
blurry
we were
crap
getting through
is
the alpha
awful.
phase. It was time to really go
You
down
know?
there and curate that specifically to our needs.
Like, you can, like, see
and,
his
I mean,
shoulder
it looks
muscles
incredible, and
stuff,
obviously,
which is
you know,
cool.
only better looking as you get into the map and start to feel your way around. So, and I mean, these screenshots are from around the dev insight time, right? So, I mean, y'all are continuing to work on this and continuing to go. So, it'll only get better as we continue to push forward into the future. So,
Right, here's the chaos before,
yeah, which, like you said, not bad at all.
chaos after. You'll notice there's the chaos floor. I think you'll see that better in the future screenshots. The chaos side has had a complete overhaul to be more specifically curated to chaos instead of just the tree side, just the tree color. There's been a floor color and more adjustments to the rocks. Again, it had the more clarity passes for the floor, the ground, the sharpness and the color from close and far. We got the jungle screenshots we can go through.
So much better.
Yeah, because then,
Yeah.
there we go, cool. So, yeah, this is going to be, it's night and day almost a little bit.
These look really bright on the monitor we're already looking at too. So another, like, it's completely tangential, but it looks different on everyone's monitors too, which is a really big factor nowadays too.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
you know, certain people use different settings on their computer, their graphics settings to change things like that. But you can see even just comparing the A to B. So that's why we have the A to B here, so you can really see the difference. Like, you're looking on your monitor, whatever your settings are, you can really see the difference here, especially in that jungle,
there's
that
gonna be
ground,
two
the
consumable
trees, the
slots
sky
now.
being a lot more vibrant, and just the
Two
sharper
consumable
features
slots.
of the assets,
like it
even
works
in
in
the, in the
Smite.
foreground and the background, and our FPS is a lot higher while running all this too.
Yeah, that's one thing, and I know we'll talk about that more later, but I know they've also done a lot of work to try to make the game just run more smooth.
Look at the difference before and after on that chaos side. Like,
Yeah.
that, there was a really big transformation there. Just that felt a little bit to that default dirt, which, you know, and it was the same kind of dirt as the whole map. Now it's got a specifically curated chaos grass. That's very stylized, very bold. It's like, it's really nice.
It's incredible. So let's continue moving down this Conquest list, because it wasn't only the visuals that changed. We also have some changes to gameplay mechanics, along with just parts of the map, starting with stuff like towers and phoenixes, right? Like, those were changed up a little bit.
That's right. We have, so the, you know, Inside Show, we didn't talk about any of the balance changes
Yeah,
coming this
it was
patch,
just
so.
kind of an overview.
That's what we're here for.
I'll take the first one, and then I can start throwing to Pun and Clumsy finally. But first off, we have Towers and Phoenix adjustments. You can see all the numbers on the patch notes. We're not going to go through them all in detail here, but really the goals are harder to kill.
Yeah.
They deal more damage.
Good.
And they're worth less gold.
Perfect.
Those are just, that's the combination.
That was
of
the
features we thought we were
exact
getting from the
feedback
They were
that
really
I
too
gave
easy
them.
to kill, too easy to dive, and they were really valuable. So
They
you
were
could
a
really just
huge
snowball
part of the
super
snowball
hard.
in Smite.
We wanted to make that a little bit more
snowball.
skill testing, a little bit more risky to tower dive, take you a little bit more time investment to kill those towers, and just kind of balance out the gold gain with the rest of the map. They were really big spikes of gold. So those three changes combined, I think, should be a very positive improvement to the experience.
Awesome. Well, let's keep moving down. Layout changes. Some of the maps are a little wider, I hear, or lanes are a little wider.
That's right. Widening of the mid lane and the duo lane specifically.
Yeah.
And they're by a couple meters, which is, you know, our new Smite 2 measurements, but it's noticeable. You'll feel it. It's hard to just eyeball it, but you will feel it, and it's going to feel like more familiar to Smite 1.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and to keep going, so Gold Fury also seeing some changes, specifically something about the Ancient Fury, right?
Yes, so the Ancient Fury will now spawn on the fourth time the Gold Fury spawns. So, you know, kill it once, kill it twice, kill it 3 times. The fourth time, it'll spawn the Ancient Fury. It's going to happen every time now on the fourth time. It doesn't matter if previously one team had to kill it that many times.
Okay.
So we really didn't see the Ancient Fury very often.
Yeah.
But you'll still have to kill the Gold Fury to track your own individual Gold Fury bonuses. Those those unique new things to Smite 2 that Gold Fury gives your team for each time you kill it. You can earn those still for personal kills, but now in the 4th spawn it'll always be an Ancient Fury. So that can happen a lot earlier in the game. That can make the Ancient Fury really valuable. And it could be a good opportunity for securing a lead or making a big comeback playing around that objective.
Yeah, no doubt. And speaking of some of the objectives, it seems like we're getting one back. Like Oracles are coming right back from Smite.
Yeah, do we want to go in game and show off these? Do we have that during this section?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Pon, why don't you go ahead and show us off this returning objective new to Smite 2.
Objective. Yep. It's also a good time to mention that we are in our dev environment, so this is not the environment that everyone will be playing on in the closed alpha. So you might see some stuff work in progress here. There might be some things that are different. Just note that not everything here is going to match exactly one-to-one with what you see. But yeah, we got the Oracles. They are the tanky objective that takes a little bit more effort to kill. Often the jungler, the mid laner, or the support will roam over and help take care of these. Once you take them both out,
you got the 20-minute Oracles on.
Yeah, the 20-minute no item Thanatos. It's
meta.
Oh no.
And you can see the Gold Fury on the minimap now does have the indication that this is covered in vision. Yeah. There is also a kind of a soft glow that indicates that the Order team has vision of this area.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So the glow is specific to which team has vision over the area?
Yeah, you'll see a kind of red glow around the area if your opponents have taken it. So the mid camp on the other side is still the random rotating buff camp that can really impact your infamy levels if you want to prioritize it. But on this side, it will be the Oracles coming back. You know, one of our most successful objectives in modern Smite. So there was a lot of requests to bring that one back, and we're happy to do it.
Yeah. We'll get to that in a second, Pod.
Yep.
We also have a completely new.
My second mic right now.
Right now we're good.
Yeah. Well, why not, right?
Yeah.
We also have a completely new objective called the Queen Naga.
Yeah.
What's up, Jackie?
I mean, yeah, let's dive into it. What is the Queen Naga? What are we looking at here?
Clumsy, you want to go over this one for us?
So the Queen Naga spawns at 7 minutes into the match. An announcement will be played to all the players, and you'll see the mini-map icon there. And you can see the Queen Naga is really interesting because she will actually spawn at 4 different locations, 2 either on the Order side, 2 on the Chaos side. And once she's spawned, she'll idle for a little bit, but then start moving around between those different locations, idling again on either side. So if she spawns on Order side as well, and the next time that she respawns, she'll spawn on the Chaos side, so we get a little bit of that kind of that team favoring going on there. And yeah, so when she'll patrol, you'll be able to kind of pick up her aggro, start fighting, and she actually has like a dynamic leash radius. So once you start attacking underneath her health bar, you'll be able to see you have a little bit of movement. You can take the Queen Naga before she returns back to her location if she's not killed in time.
Yeah, you can see it actually, like, it's tracking essentially how far she is from when you pulled her.
Yeah, from that
so you can see as I move away, it goes down to indicate, oh, you're about to run out of range. And as you pull it closer, it indicates, oh, no, you're back facing where you originally pulled. So
that is so cool.
It's a really cool dynamic leashing type of feature.
Yep. When she's attacked, unlike some of the other monsters, she'll actually attack the closest enemy god that's going to be there, so that'll help with the kind of the leashing and
instead of having to reset out of the area, you just have to be closest to manage the aggro.
I'm
gonna just power up a little bit.
Power up just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah, because I mean the really exciting thing about the Queen Naga is that when she's defeated, she drops an all new type of jungle buff called the Naga Assault buff. And the Naga Assault buff, we can go into that now. So that's dropped from the Queen Naga. Whenever someone picks up the Naga Assault buff, for the duration of the buff, you actually will start spawning Naga soldiers whenever you attack an objective or a jungle boss. So we'll see that in a second.
Okay.
So there is a level of a cooldown on that effect.
Yeah, and also just while we're getting to it, since we're talking about the strategy here for the Queen Naga, it's not really recommended to attempt fighting the Queen Naga by yourself, especially in the early to mid game. You're probably going to see either the jungler star, maybe the support coming in, maybe a laner or the mid laner coming to help out, but you're probably going to need about 2 people to even feel safe. And I mean, if you're paying attention to the mini map, you can see kind of when the enemies are picking up and starting to attack. Maybe pick up a Thunder as well if you want to kind of confirm that.
It's a PvE buff too, which
is as I get in range of this and start attacking it.
We got some Naga soldiers going on.
So cool. They slither up out of the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they make a big impact on the clear speed of a objective boss, and they can tank for it.
Yep. You can see here that I've actually traded off entirely to them.
Okay.
And they're keeping aggro. They're keeping healthy for a little while.
Yeah.
Quite tanky.
So
right.
this Naga Assault buff,
kinda
Soldier
cool.
buff will actually last for 3 minutes, so it's not a short duration thing either. You can use that to assist you with your jungle buffs. You can kind of attempt to go for your Fire Giant or, you know, do what we're doing here and kind of almost solo it yourself, even with the 2 items at 20 minutes of the game.
Well, the extra cooldowns on just spamming my one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I was looking at that as
You're
well.
cheating.
The cheats do help a little bit too. But yeah, it is a powerful buff for that exact moment. You may not be able to solo it even with Thanatos without cooldown cheats.
That's different.
But you
It's
will
neat.
be able to attempt with, you know, less teammates. It's a powerful controlled map-wide buff that is something that you really want to make sure that you pressure every 4 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. Because what a cool buff.
A very new objective all around, you know, and we're still gonna keep expanding on the Conquest map as we go forward with combinations of new and returning objectives. But yeah, in this patch we got a nice combination, one of each, which feels really
you
good.
have a roaming boss that has a super cool new power up.
Yeah.
So and
One of the things I was actually going to say that I only realized when reading through the patch notes myself, which makes a lot of sense, so kudos to the level designers, is so when you kill the Gold Fury 2 times, you actually get this superior leadership buff, which is an aura around you that affects your nearby allies. That will affect the Naga soldiers. So once you get that level of the Gold Fury buff, you're actually going to be having a little bit more synergy between this Naga Assault buff too, which is actually really cool to me.
We love synergy.
I love synergy. I mean, this is one of the things I've been most excited about for Smite 2 is the fact that we're going into closed alpha and we already have new mechanics like this we're playing with. Like, imagine a year, 2 years from now when we're really getting into, like, it's just going to get better and better. So super excited for that. And yeah, I think that's kind of it right now for the Conquest map. Plenty of changes. And again, if you want those numbers, make sure to go and check them out on the patch notes because there are specifics. We're not going to go over every single number. Again, we, you know, have to, like, stand up and walk at some point the rest of our lives. But we do have more game mode to talk about. Arena, as y'all might know, was in the most recent alpha weekend and is continuing to be in Smite 2. We ain't getting rid of it. But there have been some changes to Arena. So obviously the art changed a little bit as well, but there are some in-game things that are being edited a little bit.
Yeah, if we have those screenshots for the before and after Arena art, we need to take a look at those. Yeah, we went through, we used Arena because the environment for Arena was a little bit more, I guess, stable.
Yeah.
Conquest was undergoing a lot of changes. So here you see a little bit more of the impacts of the engine and lighting changes on the map. So the art assets on this map didn't change drastically, but you can still see the results of the getting rid of that blur, that bringing in that sharpness, bringing in some more color vibrancy, adjusting just there's really so many options for designing a video game, developing a video game. So yeah, I think just the before and after here without any like major art. There's some RZS overhauls, those
look how gray
it
is.
Got them
it's
kind
so,
of rose and
like
flower
it's got
elements,
that
which help you add some pops of color in the center. It's not just the camera doing and the lighting doing all that work, but yeah, it's a big difference, right? Just with the settings before and after.
And vibrant
Incredible looking.
So other balance changes to Arena. First of all,
all
the
progress
battle cry
will be moving
active,
forward. Yes,
in the ward slot has been removed because we now have traditional consumable slots. So that slot as a default ward slot doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So that's removed. We also have some adjustment to the jungle camp. They're going to be starting at Infamy level 1 instead of 3. Starting at Infamy level 3 was just a little bit too much power being thrown in at low levels. It was too volatile. We've also done some slight balance adjustments to the hot streak and the gift mechanic. We're really happy with those mechanics. They're working really well. So just some fine tuning here. The hot streak is going to be just a reduced effect, so it's not as intense, reducing the increase in damage dealt and received from 20% to 50%. And the gift duration is going to be decreased from increase from 30 seconds to 60 seconds. So a little bit of a decrease in effectiveness of the hot streaks and an increase in effectiveness in those gifts.
Yeah.
So when you're playing Arena and the crowd wants to throw you a bouquet, scoop it up.
Scoop it up.
At the end of the game, they like flood the area with them. It's really cool.
Yeah, end of game, it is so cool to see because they're just landing all over the place. You have all these red bouquets, like absolutely fun. And now they last a little longer. So as you're scooping them up, running to get the last few tickets off the enemy team, you're powered up. So, but that isn't all for Arena. It looks like we're also adding kind of, I'm not going to say a new game mode to Arena, but we're bringing AI into Arena.
Yeah, this is just a really big milestone for the game and the team in general. So in this update, you will be able to play Arena against AI-controlled bots.
Yeah.
So it's our first implementation of AI-controlled bots.
They've
it's
got their
gonna
bots
be
now.
A little,
I'm surprised they have bots for
early
the game. Actually,
stages.
at this point,
They're not going to be doing the most crazy combos and things like that.
Yeah.
But we're going to be expanding on them over time, and we wanted to have. This is a good opportunity for people to learn the new characters, learn the new mechanics.
Yeah.
If you're new to Smite or haven't played in any of the previous alpha tests, or maybe you're coming back after a long break from Smite 1. jump into arena versus AI for your first few games, get a feel for the new items, the auto builds, the whichever god you might like the most now.
They added
it's
your
really
Smite 1
valuable,
teammates to arena. Yeah.
We were just working on this in the QA channel this morning, but I think you will be able to also progress your mastery and your god mastery and your player account in that mode.
Really?
For now, until we future add reduced amounts or caps or whatever like that. So we don't want people to feel like they're being left out of the progress, because there's so much fun things to progress in the game.
Yeah,
so
there are. So
we do plan on expanding bot modes in the future to other game modes like Conquest.
Yeah.
It's going to take more time than Arena. Teaching bots to play Conquest is significantly more programming work than teaching them to play in Arena, right? It's like
fight in the circle.
Right. Just the team fight phase essentially is what Arena is all the time, whereas Conquest you have to teach them to lane and go different places, stuff like that. So it is places we plan to expand in the future.
Yeah, but super cool to have now, and a super cool thing to get in this early, because again, like everything, as we get this stuff in early, we're able to inquire feedback. We're able to get actionable items from the community by getting it to them this early. So really pumped for that. And now we're moving on though. And when I think the game modes, and when I think I know the Smite community decently, I think that when people are thinking of Smite, they're thinking, all right, I want to play ranked. So I guess now's a great time to talk about ranked.
Let's get into
and
the
who better
nitty-gritty of ranked.
for talking about ranked.
Our surprise guest star.
Our surprise guest star today, the one, the only, the number master, Max.
Hello.
Hey.
Mic check.
I'm
mic
on
check.
the screen.
Yeah.
Mic check. Hello.
Let's
hello.
go.
Sounds good. Check.
Awesome.
Here.
Max check.
It's the Max check.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, well,
you
have
guys
your,
are ready to
Max?
talk
you have
about
your
rank?
show notes.
Who's
iPad
that?
at home with
Innocent
you,
Rabbit,
Max?
I think is
don't
his
have an
Twitter
iPad. I
handle.
have
Didn't
my
ship one out?
screen. I got
He's like the
5
numbers
things.
guy at
like
Smite.
Tell someone to send me an iPad.
He knows a lot about like
It's in the mail.
matchmaking.
Yeah.
All right,
and that
Max.
kind
Why
of
don't you
stuff.
take the lead on this and roll us through the bullet points, and we'll peanut
Yeah.
gallery and throw things out as we go.
Yeah, true. Take it over,
Yeah,
man.
sounds good. Yeah, so we've been working on this rank mode since, I don't know, maybe when we started, like, even conceptualizing what competitive Smite 2 would look like. We've had it in front of creators and a few pros, so we've been building this out for quite a while. And kind of this first phase that we're going to move into is, like, the first part of building it out with, like, the more general community. So we're going to be starting Smite 2 ranked with something that we're going to call the ranked test season. And we're going to be rolling out different features over the course of the test season to like evaluate them individually, and then we can make changes as necessary to them. So we don't want to just throw a rank mode out there and say this is what the final version of this is. No, we want to build it out alongside people, make sure that we're building the mode like for the players. So at launch, the ranked test season will include the new rating system that we're going to be using alongside new party restrictions. And then the next features are going to be leaderboards and the role preference system, which are planned to arrive in the next few patches. And the test season is going to last like 3, 4, 5 patches as needed before we move into ranked season 0. So
And
that's
this is
kind of
going
the
to
timeline
be
that we're looking at for this.
available to play at server up day 1 of the
Day one,
24/7
minute
closed
That's-
alpha. Minute 1, day
yeah.
1, your first queue.
That is less than a week
Oh
from
wow!
right now.
So our
And
first
there are
queue can be
no,
ranked. Okay.
In-game level restrictions or god
kinda thought it would
mastery
be down for, like,
restrictions
an
or anything
hour or
like that.
two,
And,
you know, but-
as we get into the section more, there's much more flexible
Day
party
1, minute
restrictions
1, let's
and rank gap partying restrictions.
Yeah.
So generally,
Yeah, we'll
if
talk
you want to
about it.
play ranked, we want to let you play ranked, and you're going to be able to do that day 1, minute 1 of Smite 2.
Yeah.
I'll be
So
there.
first game of Smite 2 could be a ranked game, I think, at this point. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
It probably
say
will be
maybe-
for a
maybe
lot
try
of people
something,
too,
yeah.
honestly.
Yeah,
Will be.
A lot of
Yeah.
people.
Will be for me.
So we've talked the test season, so let's
I'll
get
hop
into that
in,
new
baby.
rating system you talked
YOLO.
about. What's the
Yeah,
new?
let's
What's
do
the
it.
Smite 2 rating system gonna look like?
So the new rating system for Smite 2 is going to be called the skill rating system, or SR for short. It's a
it.
brand new system that was designed for Smite 2, and it's an all-in-one system. So in Smite 1 we had MMR and we had TP, and they were pretty disconnected, and
They were
TP gave you
awful.
your rank and MMR gave you kind of this other rank. Now this is an all-in-one system where your SR will determine the rank that you're in. And it has some pretty core features that, to compare it to either one of them, SR is a bit more like MMR than anything else. Like, it is reflective of skill. However, we had to make certain changes to it that you just can't do with like traditional MMR. So the first one is that you're going to be starting at the minimum. All players are going to start at 0 SR.
As you
Can't
should.
go lower than that. But you can go way higher than that because SR is an uncapped value. it can go only really as high as a player's skill can go. And the way that it's designed, the way that the back-end math of it works is that it's going to be adjusting pretty quickly when it believes that you are underrated, but it won't be as punishing like on a player who, let's say you go on like a win streak for like 7 wins. It's not going to punish you for overreaching what an MMR system would be like. Oh, this person's like, no, like their variance or whatever, the math behind it wasn't fun to play with. So now we're going to let people kind of prove the math wrong, prove us wrong, go on that win streak, rank up a whole bunch. But at the top end, it is going to be rewarding players who win more, like a higher win rate over more total wins, like period. So it's more about at like the very top end, it's more about being the more skilled player than being like the higher volume player. Those are kind of the core features that we baked into SR.
Very good.
And SR will be kind of a part of the matchmaking system eventually, but right now, the first kind of iteration of this, it isn't the final intent. So we're going to be rolling out more features with matchmaking and ranked over time.
That's awesome, and super cool to hear kind of the back end of how that system works too.
Very
so
good.
I know with this we also have, SR obviously helps determine where you lay in the ranking systems, the usual bronze, silver, gold. So what's our new system for that look like?
Yeah.
The ranks are cool.
I'm not sure at what point we want to hop in game to show off some of these screens.
Show them. Show the ranks,
keep talking about it.
Yeah,
show the ranks.
navigate
They're
to that
cool.
rank screen.
Let me make sure I don't show anything else.
Yeah.
That's the trick of all of this.
Yeah.
Trick of it all. So yeah, whenever you're ready, let me know.
It's more fun,
so
and it's
the ranked tiers
way
and
more
divisions. They've been kind of revamped for Smite 2.
Okay, I should be good.
In line with the Switch.
All right, let's check it out in game.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So this is the new our first pass at like a
Clay rank. I love it.
And you're gonna see a whole bunch of ranks already.
You started Clay.
But the kind of gist is that each rank is split up into 600 SR and split into 3 divisions. So each of those are 200 SR. And I'm just gonna run through all the ranks because we've added a few new ones. The new starting rank, you're gonna start at Clay at 0 SR.
Yeah, so there is a Clay before Amber.
Amber, you're ready to be molded into a champion.
Oh, this is perfect.
I love it, dude.
You are
I love the Clay icon. I love the Clay name so much. It is so funny to me.
It's so good.
But after that, yeah, you're gonna move through Amber at first, and then you're gonna go through like the classic bronze at 800 SR, silver 1400, gold at 2000, platinum at 2600. And diamond at 3200, and then we're gonna kind of move into where things have switched up a bit. Obsidian is the new rank that's above diamond. It starts at 3800 SR. Master, which is now a rank that has subdivisions, is gonna start at 4400 SR, and then the final kind of 2 here, which we don't have
Demigod
for
and
quite yet,
Deity
are Demigod at 5000 SR, and then Deity at I will explain. So, for once you hit Demigod, there'll no longer be divisions. The only way that you're going to be separating yourself out from the competition is just higher skill rating. This is going to be really cool once we get our leaderboard system in so that you can kind of directly compare to people. And I've seen the first mock-ups for those, and they look just amazing. I'm so excited too. We were working on them
these rank
just
tiers.
like last night. Like this is,
it's like a top 100 type
leaderboards
system.
are going to be so cool.
Exactly.
But once you get into Demigod, you're going to be battling for the rank, the title of Deity, which is going to be the most prestigious rank in Smite 2, and it's going to be reserved for the top 100 players worldwide. So to earn Deity, you're going to have to gain at least 500 SR in Demigod. So right now, the kind of threshold is 5,500 SR at a minimum, and then you also have to be in the top 100 players worldwide. So once 100 players surpass that 5,500 mark, the threshold for Deity will go up, and we're gonna hope to show that off once we got leaderboards and stuff going on. You'll be able to keep track of like where exactly you gotta hit.
Such a better rank system, man.
As
like
and with the uncapped SR,
somebody who's been a rank grinder for 11 years,
locked spots or
so
a race
much
to
more
do it like there
sense
was in
for
Smite 1.
competitive ranks.
Yeah, no, it's
honestly
not
makes me
locked.
sad
just
that we just never
better.
could even get this in Smite 1.
Really curious to see where.
I'm so excited that we're getting it, but I'm also like depresso espresso that we never got anything near this in Smite 1.
Games that got played in Smite 1 to see how it has shaken out, and I'm curious to see how far people can get up there in Smite 2.
How no lifer are people gonna go on this? We'll see.
Yeah, and I think that it's when you capped out in Smite 1, it resulted in kind of a weird play cycle right at the top where you weren't really earning anything, you were just maintaining. So I actually think that people's like cap hasn't even really been reached yet, because in some crazy hypothetical, there's no reason that this can't go to like 10,000 SR. There's no reason you can't hit 5 digits. I don't know if or when it will ever happen, but it's possible.
We're gonna start
and then
rolling
the one last thing about rolling overflow problems. One of the last notes I want to make is that it's possible to derank from all ranks in Smite 2. There's a bit of a system behind it, but in Smite 1, as a lot of higher end players would know, you'd get Master and then you hold Master for the rest of the season. It's not how it's going to work in Smite 2. We are trying to invigorate the competition and make sure that you're really staying on top of your game. But the way that it's going to work is that when you reach a rank floor, so the bottom of gold, let's say, if you were to lose to fall through the bottom of gold, your first loss will put you right to the minimum. So you're going to get set to 2,000 SR. And then you'll have to lose again to D-rank. So you have, like, each time you hit a new rank, you've got a slight, just like the smallest little buffer to keep you in that rank.
Cool.
But aside from that, you absolutely can D-rank out of it. And it doesn't apply to divisions, so you fall straight through gold 1, gold 2. But once you get gold 3, you do have that one game to kind of
you get a one threshold game to like
that's cool. Yeah, a little platform
prove
for safety.
yourself.
Love it.
Well, that is awesome. I
God,
love the
that
UI
system is
behind
so
all of
much
this,
better.
too.
It
And
makes
again,
me
I mean,
so
it says
horny,
on the
dude,
bottom
to play
part, but, like,
ranked.
this is an alpha, right? So like this will only get prettier and cooler looking, which is hard to imagine because it already looks so pretty and cool. So, but there's still more to talk about. So we've talked about what the new ranking system is. So you mentioned party restrictions and the way matchmaking is going to work. So what's changing with that?
You guys will like this
Lay it
too.
out,
Yeah, matchmaking guy Max has to talk about matchmaking once again. Matchmaking.
I remember saying that to you at
Anyone who
Worlds, and
says
you were like,
matchmaking in chat banned.
"Yeah."
Damn.
I told that to you at Worlds, and you were like, "Haha, don't say that."
And from Smite,
I'm
too.
sorry, I love you.
It's gotten out of my control at this point, and that is okay.
All right, well, let's dive into it. Yeah.
So yeah, as Smite 2, we're aiming to grow the competitive player base of Smite. We've talked about that quite a bit. A larger player base for the competitive scene benefits everybody from the lower end to the top end of the kind of competitive spectrum. So we brought down, to start, basically all the walls on party restrictions. There's really only one. So to kind of talk through reasoning before we get into it, a rank system that has fewer restrictions on parties can make ranked accessible to players who never would have played before. Some people have a group of people that they want to play with, and they're not going to play without them. Let's let them try out ranked. Let's let them try out competition. And then another point that I want to kind of put out there so people understand is that heavy restrictions, specifically on rank bans, encourage other undesirable behaviors like smurfing. Like when you have it really restricted in terms of who can play with who, there is an innate push towards stuff like smurfing. And we want to continue to take steps towards addressing that, but again,
how many ELO caps players in
in
Smite 1 have at least one smurf?
And from this period, we're going to get a lot of valuable feedback, a lot of data on the connections between ranked, matchmaking, SR, these party restrictions. We are going to take in all that.
I might be the only person that never smurfed.
We're going to make them as necessary. So that's my preamble before.
Might be the only guy that got ELO cap and never smurfed.
So for size restrictions, players will be able to queue for Smite 2 ranked as a solo player or as a party of 2, 3, or 5. The only restriction being on parties of size 4. And the reason for that is that at the start, solo players will only be match-made against other solo players. Lobbies like this nature produce the highest quality games for solo players. And then parties, so 2, 3, and 5, will only be match-made against other parties. The design intent being that you're going to be the design intent is to match party sizes when possible, but this is going to maintain a communication parity.
That's actually a smart way to do it, because if you do it 2, 3, and 5, you can combine a party of 3 and a party of 2 and put them against a party of 5.
Have this innate communication.
4 screws up the numbers because then I have to throw in a solo player.
Okay. There's
like
no
that.
combination of matchmaking and party sizes that we're not going to rule out long term. But this is what we want to test. This is the ranked test season.
I like that.
Let's see how this feels and let's go from there. And SR is consistent, whether queuing solo or party. It's just the one ranked mode. Also, kind of
makes me
want to
solo
be incorporating that
queue
into
ranked?
our matchmaking system. We want to handle as much stuff on our end as possible to let players just play the game and have fun. So
Sorry,
yeah,
lass.
I think I
Kinda makes me
want
wanna
to But there's going
solo
to be no rank restrictions either at the start. So you can queue with a bronze player, with a platinum player. Anyone can join a party and get into parties. Parties will be, admittedly, there's going to be a lot of chaos, but there's always going to be a lot of chaos at the start of a brand new rank mode.
For sure.
Game
with the
isn't even
plan
out
being that
yet,
we're gonna,
and
like,
you're
look at all
already
the data.
dishing
If there needs to be some restriction there, like we are going to implement that. This isn't us saying forever you will always have these crazy parties that can be open range.
He's just so
But maybe we
hashtag
find ways to make
abandonable.
it work. We're just not sure until we get the feedback and the data from that.
I love him.
And you can never really go back to this. So let's go day one. Let's test this out. And we're moving fast over here. I mean, we saw how much got changed from Alpha Weekend 4 to now with everything else with the game. We have the same plans with Ranked. So we're gonna move fast. We're gonna get a lot of feedback, which is really exciting. But to start off, the one kind of restriction on these parties that are really wide is that we're gonna be dampening the SR gains and losses, so that the DD leaderboards and kind of players' ranked journeys aren't heavily influenced by being
This
like,
part will need a lot
let's do all these things with parties to
of
kind
math
of play the
changing
system.
throughout the
So and it's affecting both wins and losses.
Time
so
of
that, like,
ranked.
if you're a high rank and you want to play with your lower ranked friends, you can do so, but if you lose, like, it's not really gonna affect your journey as much. So there's numbers that you can read in patch notes, but basically the wider apart your party is in terms of ranks, the less SR you will win or lose if you win or lose the game. And then if you have anyone who's over demigods, over that 5,000 threshold, competing for the top end, there's going to be immediate like 50% reduction on your gains and losses if you're in a party. So at the top end, probably the best way to like compete for deity will be solo queuing, which is something that we're excited to see test out, see like the best players
The best
all
way to
solo queue
compete
together
for
and
it
see
will
what
be
those
solo
matches look
queuing,
like
you
instead of
say.
having kind of duo queue be the determining factor at the top end.
I'm
Again,
the
these are just
king
things
of
that we're
solo
excited
queue.
to test and get feedback on.
the king.
I mean, this is super incredible too, and a lot of those changes that you mentioned are exciting for a variety of reasons, which you explained incredibly well. But I think my favorite is really just that dampening effect, because like dampening.
The
inherently
dampening
sounds
effect
negative,
is crazy
softening
smart,
the
by the
edges
way.
a little bit, but that's great
AKA,
for people who,
if
like
you
said,
and
like, I
two
hit the
other
solo
pro
rank
players
grind,
are
I
all
build my
queuing
rank up,
together,
and
so
then
now you
my
got 3
friend who
pro
never plays
players
is like,
against,
hey, I'm
you
on
know,
this
5
weekend,
ranked
I
McGee's.
want to hang out and play ranked, and instead of being like, I guess I'll hop on my Smurf account, or well, I don't want to lose.
probably
all my
shouldn't get
XR,
full elo. You know
you're
what I'm
able to just
saying?
play with them, and
We've had this problem in the past.
because you're
It's a
showing
good
them
fix.
ropes, or they're
It's
they're
a
still
good
getting used
fix.
to the game.
You can
then
still
it
do
doesn't
it, and
really
you can
impact
still have
you as
fun,
badly, and you still
but
get to
you
have
won't
fun
get
with
as
your
much
friends.
points.
So
It
it's a system that
it is
promotes
a
like
fair
being able to
system.
play with your
Or at
friends
least I
when
should
you want
say
to,
a
which I think
more
is
fair
like
system.
insanely incredible.
Yeah, that's the goal. We want people to play competitive Smite. We want people to experience it. It's such a fun part of the game. I've been playing Smite, myself for 10 years, and I only started playing ranked maybe in the last 3 or 4. And yeah, me and my friends have such a good time playing it. So yeah.
That's a nice list of features there. I mean, a lot of big
Yeah.
stuff that
Yeah.
we've wanted for
Yeah.
many years.
Pumped
Like
for
we
that
talked about
ranked
some
stuff.
things we
Pumped.
could only do with a big change, like something like a Smite 2.
Yeah.
Hard to just
Yep.
patch into Smite 1. So rebuilding this whole
There's
system
so-
from the ground
so
up
many
was
things
one of
we built
those
from the ground up.
was one of those things that we could really do here. So thank you so much, Max. I know the chat is super excited about all these features.
One last thing to let people know is that we've redone the ranked draft lobby.
Okay.
Sorry, I saw I picked up my iPad. I wasn't looking at it. I was just
Gotta talk about this
going off memory.
That was me.
Yeah, we redid the draft lobby
Yeah.
UI. It's again in its first pass, but one of the kind of key features that we did is we're making it more easy to kind of quickly read whose pick it is, what picks are coming up, what bans are coming up, with the intent being like, again, you're a new player coming into like the draft mode, you don't know what the draft mode does. Let's walk you through it. And also in Smite 1, it was kind of at times difficult to know where in the order you were. Maybe you look away and like you've missed something. We're gonna really clearly map out the draft that's happening in front of you. And yes, Smite 2 ranked is gonna launch with a draft pick, and then it's gonna be 1 ban per team.
And the top player in the
start.
list will do the ban.
The top player in the list will do
So
the bans. Yeah.
1 ban per team to start with. You got to start, like we said,
start
start with
with.
the most open environment we can, and
Yeah.
we'll go from there. So
Yeah.
just 1 ban per team with 1 player
One
doing
ban,
that
one ban is
That makes
plenty.
sense,
With
considering
this
there's,
God
like,
roster, one
what,
ban is plenty.
a lot less gods.
It might need to get up
we're
to
getting that
2
number up
sooner than
fast.
later,
We
but
will
1
talk
is
about that
plenty.
in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll get there in the
Yeah.
future, but super awesome stuff, Max, and thank you so much for joining us for this. That was really cool.
Of course.
Yeah,
You
so
flew me in from Canada to talk about this.
we did. We put you in a suitcase, so
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but all right, well, awesome. So from there, we got more to talk about. I mean, I've been telling you all this forever. There's
What's
a
next?
lot in the show, and next up we
Who am I
have
banning?
items. So items got a lot of
Depends
changes.
on how OP Mordred
This is
is,
no small
or if he's
amount of
allowed in
change
ranked
that
at all.
we've made across the item system, as you might have picked up on from the read off
Could
at
be
the
Hades.
top from the little teaser list. So again, the quickest way is to just dive into it by talking about changes to what we're calling the God inventory system.
Right, and we're going to go in game and just show this off real quick because it's pretty obvious at the bottom of the HUD. And we talked about some of this in the Inside Show, so we won't get into super detail, but consumable slots returning. You can see next to your relic, you now have 2 consumable slots. Those are going to function just like Smite 1. They're going to be hotkeyed to the same default hotkeys and controller keybinds as they would be on Smite 1. So the free ward and the cooldown ward button has been removed, and this is replacing it. And the only new item in this regard is a health chalice was added. And I will note that there's a known bug on this health chalice. It's only giving you 2 charges right now. The first charge you use isn't going to work. Or no, the third charge.
The third charge won't work.
Third charge isn't going to work. So it's only 2 charges. It's a little underpowered right now. We're sorry about that. A lot of last minute fixes coming in, but health chalice is in the game. And if you refill that many times over the game, it's still going to pay itself off.
For sure.
So yeah, that's it for consumables.
Then we're moving straight to start.
Anything to add to consumables?
Yeah, I mean,
2 regular wards, 1 sentry ward, essentially all the same rules as you're used to in Smite. Oh, another known one that is currently killing wards does not grant you gold.
Okay, gotcha.
But we will be adding that for a future patch.
yeah, we forgot when we ordered them from the ward factory. We forgot to stuff them with gold, so it's on back order. We're getting it in there.
And for those familiar, you're coming from Smite 1, there's no current 500 pots or like that, but you do have the 3k elixirs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are still auto-consume and apply to you immediately and have infinite duration and do not reset on death. So they don't really ever take up a consumable slot right now. But they are a consumable technically, so they're there and they're unchanged from earlier alpha tests.
Technically.
Rock and roll. Well, let's keep moving and talking about starter items. So we got into this a little bit in Dev Insight, but let's dive in with that.
Yeah, so the starter items are exciting because they now have a new dedicated starter slot.
Yeah.
If you look at that bottom, you can now see there is a 7-item inventory for each Smite God. So you get a starter
When they
item
told me
in
they were
addition
bringing
to
back
your
starter
6-item
items, I got
slot.
sad.
A lot of people
I was like, man,
loved starter items,
that means
but
you
there
only
was
build
always
5
a debate
items.
about
And
if
then
it
they were
was
like,
too
no,
restrictive on
we're going to give it
builds,
its own slot.
if it
And
would
I said,
force you into
oh,
certain things, or just
cool.
not being able to build
Do
a
it
6th item
then.
instead of a starter item would restrict certain types
Do it
of
then.
strategies. So
You cowards.
now it's going to be a 7th item. The starter items in Smite 2 are generally referencing Smite 1. They're not all exactly the same. There's a couple changes and shifts. There's a couple ones that are referencing other upgrades, but having powered down forms. So I don't know if we want to get into them a little bit more detail today. Like, for example, we'll just start from the first one. Selflessness is a new starter item. It's essentially baby heroism.
Yeah.
So we wanted to implement this one instead of the Sentinels line, because Sentinels line is kind of just revolved around being a AoE protection aura in the late game. Or healing yourself a lot, which we have other starter items that do
strong
that.
starter item for sure.
Heroism is a really cool
10% of your max health as a shield.
Benevolence was also
That's
a
strong.
very mathematical starter item that was kind of relied on.
It's like a 1 kit. That's like
minor
a
economic
100 HP
advantages
shield pretty early,
being
you know.
the primary design purpose. So for support starter items, there's a selflessness.
The red
and there's
team
war
has
flag.
your bank account.
They both have the exact same economy.
You better fix that
bonuses,
before you
so
get an
assist
overdraft
gold,
fee.
And
Okay?
they both have the exact same
right?
health and
Be
mana
careful.
return
You're
triggers
poor.
and
They can
assists.
make you poor.
The difference is the stats and the passives. So like, do you want to be more aggressive? They might even have the same exact stats. Sorry, yeah, the same stats. It's really the passives. Do you want to be more aggressive support, or do you want to be able to give people that shield when they get CC'd?
Yeah.
Jungler items, we've now got Boomba's Golden Dagger, which we worked in that aspect from the early alpha weekends, and the Golden Shard in Smite 1 into Boomba's Dagger. So now you get that cleave. You get that little cleave
That
effect.
seems very strong.
And you get Boomba's Dagger effect. And
seems
similar
really
to support
strong.
items, the Boomba's Dagger and Boomba's Cudgel, which is a powered down Boomba's Hammer, they have the exact same bonus
that
damage
seems
to
pretty
jungle
strong
camps.
too.
So you can kind of pick between
So-
your damage to jungle camp bonus is effectively the same. You're
They
picking
all
between the
seem pretty
passives. Do you
strong,
want that
which is good.
cleave,
Which is
or do you
good.
want
They
this,
all seem pretty strong.
alternating single attack bonus damage cooldown reduction gameplay that you had on Boomba's Hammer.
Got it.
Conduit Gem and Sands of Time are pretty on track for Smite 1. No real changes there. So are Death's Toll and Leather Cowl. And then we got Warrior's Axe and Bluestone Pendant. Again, some minor changes in damage calculations and some things like that. Maybe the one to shout out for his
those
Bluestone
all
Pennant
look.
is,
The
as
starter
everyone
items
knows,
are looking
Bluestone Pennant has some
beefy.
really weird dot stacking rules in Smite 1, and those have changed many times over the lifetime of Smite 1. So this current Bluestone Pennant is just the most straightforward. Like, it's just a stacking dot. There's no weird like compounding like old Bluestone had, and then new Season 8 plus Smite 1 Bluestone has like an actually like more punishing subsequent damage mechanic where like if you hit twice in rapid succession, it not only puts a weaker damage over time on them, it also weakens the previous one that was on them. So that's removed. So it's pretty much just the most straightforward. Like hit someone with one ability, do a big dot, hit them with a second or third ability, do small dots. All of those have their own durations and their own ticks, and there's all stack. So it's pretty. It's like the most.
Seems like
we
an
feel
easier
like,
way to
like we
do
said
it.
with ranked and some of the others. This is the most unrestricted, straightforward version.
I like it. I like it.
Version of the.
And then all these items have upgrades. They all have level requirements on the upgrades. Supports are cheaper to start with, cheaper to upgrade and lower level, but everyone else has the same rules. And generally all of the upgrades are pretty in line with the starter. They do very similar effects but powered up. So a couple that change a little more than others, like Sands of Time into Pendulum of the Ages. That one changes a little bit more as you upgrade, but most of them are pretty straightforward, in line direct upgrades.
Awesome.
Anything to add on those, design team?
Nope. I think you covered it.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, so trying to get in a good variety of strategies that people can build. The build any item system compounds really interestingly with this in Smite 2. So these do have specific like only int or only strength starters that may not encourage you to build them in any role, but there's a little bit more role flexibility for how you might want to build these than you could in
Conduit
Smite
Gem
1,
Neath
particularly
mid
like,
is looking pretty hot on the damage department.
Yeah, well, especially,
we'll talk about it later,
because they have their own item slot, though.
They're kind of hot.
Yeah, that too.
That's a big thing. And then, as like kind of AJ was saying before, this is kind of the start of the starter item system. We're all really excited to see how you guys take this, and we're going to be taking that feedback for all the things we've talked about today, really, and kind of expanding on them.
I will never stop underlining the fact
or
that we
even
always be looking for
Bluestone
y'all's
and then
feedback.
do
Like,
a
it
full
is
int
so
build
imperative to us.
anyway.
It gives us
would
awesome
also be
action
interesting,
items, is what I'm going
depending
Okay, so
on
next we got to talk about the
how good
active
the
items.
upgrades are.
I think relic slots are what we're
Depending.
doing.
Sorry, relics are part of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, no, I was just debating this with Tina earlier today. It's
So
like,
it's an active effect in your item inventory, right?
So basically relics are getting, they have a slot and we're getting 2 new relics.
Right, so you only get 1 relic for free at the start of the game. We'll still have that nice picker UI that comes up to help prompt and remind everyone to buy relic. If you're a pro player, you won't need that as much, but a lot of people forget to get them. So that'll be nice. You'll get that 1 relic at level 1, and we've now added 2 new relics, Aegis of Acceleration and Phantom Shell.
yes.
Classics. You know them, you love them.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure the relic options at level 1 specifically, like when you're thinking about relics versus actives, we think about them together in just how many total active effects you
Aegis
can have
is
in
in
your
the
kit. That's a
game,
big
but
thing
you
that
have
we'll
to
talk
keep in
about
mind
soon
that you're
about active
choosing
items, and
Aegis
also
over
what
Combat
types of
Blink
effects
and
do you need
Beads,
access
which
to at
basically
specific types
makes
in the
no
game.
sense.
And the main difference between a relic and a active item is that you can get it at level 1.
Yeah.
All the active items take the tier 3 items, and there's also the difference is the gold trade-off and item slot trade-off. So certain effects, if you might want beads, you want beads at level 1, and you also don't want to have to give
Shell
up
is a pretty decent counter item,
to
you
buy
know.
a beads item
but
either,
like
right? So
the
there's certain things
Sunder
that just
is
work way better
crazy
as
good.
relics.
You only
That's
get
important,
1
too, because coming
relic.
for the alpha weekends. The
You only
current
get
star
one.
items, they do have an item cost.
Like
to
if
them.
you're the
That's
support,
incorporated into
not
gold
getting
cost
the
that we've now
Sunder is
added
going to be a
back
tough
into the
sell
starter
because
games in
it's the
Conquest and
new
Arena.
objective
While the
secure.
relics, they are
If your
free,
support
they are
doesn't have
something that
Sunder,
we
you
expect
can't ever
to
do an
have at the beginning of
objective
the game.
unless
That's
somebody else in
right.
your
And
team
so
has it.
Aegis of Acceleration was one, like if
You
you
just
really
can't do
need
Gold
to
Fury
counter some
ever.
unmissable ability or some like Thanatos dunking you at level 5 every game, you can't wait until you build items. You can pick Aegis now, and the same for Shell if you want to counter player pass-through walls, so Ymir, Odin, etc. Or if you want to be a true support and have a relic that really just keeps your teammate from dying, and that's your #1 focus at level 1, which is really important, especially in the dual lane.
You don't like
Now
that? You
have
want the
option
jungle to
ability
have
when
secure?
previously you
The
had to wait until
jungler
you
could get
build
it, but is your
secure items.
jungler
That
going to
made a
give up
big
combat
difference.
blink?
Because
Probably
they don't upgrade
not.
like starter items do, or like the relics did in Smite 1. These are slightly more.
You
of
think
the
your
powerful
jungler's
effects
not
of
going to
one.
get combat
right on
blink?
Yeah, you only get
I
one,
don't
and we
probably
don't currently
think
have upgrades,
so.
so they're all supercharged. They got to compete with combat blink.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah,
So
that's
they're all
they've got to compete.
supercharged from level 1. And if you haven't played an alpha weekend and you're just tuning in for this show, the new Sunder relic is crazy too. So go check that one out. It's effectively Hand of the Gods and an AoE true damage over time, fused
The
into
solo
one.
laner
it's
will be
potent.
able to get
lots of cool
Sunder
stuff
as
to
well.
look at. But like you said,
Your
these
solo
are active
laner
items
will be
technically,
able
so
to
let's
get
move into
Sunder.
that active
I
item
suspect
system
solos
change. So
and
things are
supports
changing
are
with
going
the
to
way
be the
active
most
items are
likely to
working in
get that.
Smite 2, right?
Yes, so as you'll see now, Pon just bought an active item. Previously, there was
Would it
no
out-secure like a
nothing on his
Cuckoo ult?
HUD.
Yeah. It's going to be
to
the
right
best
side of
objective
those
secure in the game.
consumables.
It's
There's just nothing
1,000
there.
true
But when he
damage.
bought an active item,
Nothing
it now
will
placed
out-secure it,
that active slot
basically.
there. So there was a lot of debate about HUD and where to place these, and people were forgetting about them existing. We now have a very new system
Old
that
school
just
hand of the gods, like it's
for
Smite.
you. As soon as you buy an active item,
What a buff.
it pops up and as a new item, a new ability on your in the ability section of your HUD with the hotkey to buy it. So you're you can get a lot more visibility.
Yeah, and it's also important to note that we made sure that the first one you got was bound to what was standard the second relic in Smite 1.
Yep.
We want to make sure that the first relic, your first active item, and the 2 consumables match the keybinds that everyone is really familiar with
Sunder
and
and
used
solo
to.
might be mandatory.
Right,
when
so if
really
you're
fights.
building just one active item in
the
your build, your
damage from
keybinds will be the
Sunder on
same as your
players was
Smite 1
super
keybinds
low.
for, or control.
It's
also
really
controls
not
games.
its purpose.
And,
its
and
purpose
in,
is jungle
Smite
clear and
2, we have
objective
fully
secure.
rebindable
From
buttons
a
for consoles. You
player
can change
damage
these if you don't like
perspective,
the
it was
second and third
quite
options.
underwhelming,
You
which
can
is actually
rebind them.
good.
Same for PC.
You don't want
But
to be good
the
at
defaults
everything.
are all the way through. The first active, and then the second and third actives are the new keybinds, effectively, are new button presses for everyone. And currently, we are capping each player's inventory at 3 active items. So once you already build 3 active items, you will notice you cannot build.
You're surprised they
active items
didn't
anymore.
add
There'll be a
TP
warning
in?
there.
A
There's
lot of
warning on each
high-end
active item
players
as you
have
buy
asked
it.
them
I think,
to
that
not
tells
ever
you how
put
many you
TP
have.
in the
Yep, so you
Smite
can
2.
see that go up as you go. And then as you
The
approach
problem
three,
with
you'll see these
TP
items
is once
will
you put it
become
in the
unpurchasable.
game, it becomes
They'll be
one of
grayed out, so
those you
buy
can't
them.
ever pick anything else.
We're really doing that as a
problems.
combination of a form of balance and usability, kind of just
For
clamping
certain
the,
roles.
the ridiculousness.
So a
that
lot
the
of
meta
people
could
just
go
don't
to.
want it to be added
active
at
item
all
builds.
to give more
So,
variety.
Plus relics.
Plus
Right,
relics.
plus the relics. So it's still significantly more active ability usage than we had in Smite 1.
Oh, yeah,
But
for sure.
through the feedback in the alpha test, it was heavily trending towards it was being overdone. So we walked that back a little bit, and this is the result. I think it plays really well. You still have a lot of really flexible build opportunity, and the whole system is just a lot more clear and curated better for making sure you know what's going on, how to use these abilities.
Yeah, it's super exciting to see, and I like the amount of clarity you get from seeing those right there on your ability bar. So moving on, continuing with items though, you mentioned at the top of the show, we are adding a bunch of items, a 20, I believe was the number you said, of new items kind of from Smite 1 into Smite 2.
It's more than that. I just don't I don't like doing exact counts because I always end up wrong because like maybe we pull an item at the last minute or like double count something or whatever. But
Anytime you say something exact, karma comes in to change it a little bit. So.
But with the new, there's lots of new systems in Smite 2.
Yeah.
People getting used to strength intelligence, active items. So the new map changes, the god changes. So we wanted a strong core of familiar items. So we really went through, we combed through Smite 1, looked for the items that had the most usage per role, tried to get a relatively even spread per role. There's a little bit, I'd say, over-indexing towards solo lane because I think Smite 2 had the smallest pool of solo lane items during the alpha weekends. So we had a little bit more solo lane items from Smite 1 and about 2 to 3 core items from every other role. There's some really exciting ones in here before I read them all off, but there's also just some exciting categories. So stacking items have returned.
Hey.
Big, constant requests in alpha weekend feedback for those. So Transcendence, Devourer's Gauntlet, Book of Thoth, Gauntlet of Thebes coming back. Those are kind of the big new categorical. Previously, Smite 2 didn't have any items like that.
Yeah, so it's a whole new category.
And then we have, like I said, the core, like bread and butter items for every role. So we'll just read them off real quick is Crusher, Serrated Edge, Transcendence, Heartseeker, Devourer's Gauntlet, Book of Thoth, Spear of Desolation, Soul Gem, Doom Orb, Spirit Robe, Prophetic Cloak, Void Shield, Void Stone, Glorious Pridwin, Shifter Shield, Shield of the Phoenix, Berserker Shield, Mystical Mail, Rod of Tahuti, Genji's Guard, Gauntlet of Thebes, Demonic Grip, and throwback to that Chalice of Healing. Count it. It's a new item. It's a port item. Count
Yeah, it counts.
Demonic Grip was added in there specifically to make sure those mage ADCs still had a really good option, even though they can build strength and go full ADC if you want to build more of an int strength hybrid or a full int, but like with
do
decent basic
believe
attacks.
they
that
ended
one's
up
a big add as
adding
well.
back Flat Pen.
Yeah, it's just cool to see all those items come
Which
in.
I actually
and
don't
like you said, good for players who
we'll
are getting
see
into
how
it
it turns
and
out.
haven't learned all the new items. They have some comfortable items
I think
they
they
can fall
did
back on.
with
Yeah, build those items you're familiar with. Most of them are early
With
game
the
items. They're
return
stacking
of
items
these
you often want
items,
first.
I think some
build those ones you're
flat
familiar
pen
with.
worked
Get it
its
started.
way
If you're not all auto builds, row and aggro come through every auto build. Read them all for these new items. So the auto builds are really solid. Every god has multiple options for auto build based on your role or play style. Yeah. You can choose between those to auto build. When you have an auto build going, you can buy and sell wards and consumables. It will not disrupt your auto build. Those are really nice features for all this stuff.
Like it.
So if you're still learning the ropes, build these items you're familiar with first and foremost, and then later in the game you can start when you have some death cam time, maybe you won't, I know, okay, everyone's really good. You can look for some new items like the Helm of Darkness that turns you invisible and some crazy stuff we've got in there.
Item,
so
Zeus in arena with Helm of Darkness is so good. Just creep up with your ult. Oh, I love it. So,
There's
I
no
haven't heard that
magical
particular
or
usage
physical
yet,
pen
but you
anymore.
would, Harrison. I love it.
So
All
there,
right, so
flat
to
pen is
continue down
back
the
in the
item
game, and I
train,
think it
not
is.
only do
It's
we
just
add a
flat
bunch of
pen
items, it
in
seems that we have a
percent
handful of
but
them that
it'll
we're
apply
kind of renamed
to both
for
sides.
in Smite 2 currently.
So you'd buy
Yeah,
similar
so
items.
let's see. I'll try to keep this short, but effectively, you're going to see even more Smite 1 items in Smite 2 this patch, because any Smite 2 item that we didn't feel like significantly differentiated itself, we just kind of readjusted back towards Smite 1 in name and art and oftentimes in the design as well.
Okay.
So that means you're also going to see Titan's Bane, Demon Blade, Bloodforge, Gladiator Shield, Golden Blade, Spectral Armor, Shogun's Kansari, Stone of Binding, Obsidian Shard, and Soul Reaver.
Yep.
And some of those are a little bit different from Smite 1, but they still generally do the same thing. Spectral Armor is still the anti-crit item.
Yeah.
It has pretty different effects. It has like an
You want to be
AoE
the world's
aura
best
that,
clay player?
negatively affects attack speed and crit.
Do it.
Strong. But it doesn't do the exact same
Mold
thing. it did,
yourself into
in
the
Smite 1.
world's best
Golden
clay
Blade
player.
now has damage that scales off of protections. So you can really build it on those basic attack warriors whenever, whenever my girl gets in the game. It's going to be good. So it's there's some pivots here, but they generally do what you're used to. Bloodforge is an active item still. You press a button to get the shield instead of getting a kill. So, but they generally do what you're used to them doing in Smite 1.
Got it. And it's a good push for familiarity too, because like you said, if they weren't completely stand out different from their predecessors, then why not incorporate
I
them?
will
They were
get
popular
Taco
there.
Bell tonight.
So
And there might even
gonna
be a
have my
few
wife
more like
pick up
specific
some
renames that we
medication,
didn't
so I'll
put
get
in
Taco
here.
Bell.
They're on the patch notes though.
Oh, for sure.
So some of these items
haven't had
actually
Taco Bell in
stole
like 3
temp
weeks.
art from other items, so those items had to also be changed. So there's a couple
Cascade
other
effect.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you
but
gift out
we're
10
not gonna
subs
go
right
on
now,
that
I'll
right
get
now.
more Taco
Cool.
Bell
So
tonight. I'll
next
do
up,
it. I'll
another
spend
kind
it
of
all on
huge
Taco
change
Bell.
to the way the item store
I'm gonna
works
spend
is
it
you've,
regardless.
basically completely revised the component building
I'ma
system that was
spend it
present in Alpha Weekend
regardless.
4.
Yeah, that's right. Let's see. Oh, we don't have my list of pro and cons on this sheet. Let me see if I can find it. But so essentially, we want to keep component system.
Yeah.
It has a lot of
I know.
advantages.
I
to
sold
the game
myself
balance.
out. I know.
Being able to track stat
Couldn't keep a
efficiency
straight
because a
face.
strength item from an axe will use all of those items will use an axe.
Yeah.
And having that connectivity is really
Thank you,
valuable in a lot of
Blaze.
ways. But we wanted to also simplify and streamline the system. That some
That's
of the
a cheesy
earlier
bean and
Alpha
rice
Weekend
on you,
tests
friend.
System was just a little messy, to be honest. I'm not ashamed to say it. I was mostly the one designing it, so I felt it for real. We've done a lot of specific changes to the items. I'm looking for my notes so I can read them off a little more specifically. But we wanted to make the items more
TLDR
clear
and
in
items.
how they
Tier 1s
upgrade
build into
from
Tier
one to another.
2,
That's
Tier
gonna be a little
2s
bit
build
more
into
familiar
Tier
to
3.
players.
Yeah, and I guess just to dive in on
Have
that,
you
I know
heard
that
of that
we've got a
item
lot of
system
feedback
before?
around
It's kind of
readability
like
for
Smite
the
1,
item store,
but
because
also
especially
kind of
for a
like a
new
hybrid
player,
between
which is,
League of Legends
we
and
want
Smite
this game
1.
to feel incredible
It'll
for
be
everybody
familiar
we
to
bring
Smite
into
1
the community
players,
who's
but from a
already
balance
played Smite for a bunch
perspective,
of
it's still
years.
way
But
better
we
than
also
Smite
want new
1.
people to come
You're
in
gonna
and
be happy
experience
with it.
Smite
I
and join
promise.
us on this next leg of our journey. And a lot of people have come to me and to a lot of us and said, hey, the item store is a big area that scares new players off. It can be hard to figure out how to develop builds and how to work through that. So a lot of these changes too are trying to take in feedback like that and figure out how do we make this approachable for somebody who's never touched this game or even another MOBA. So
Okay, I've got my notes for the item upgrade rework.
Nice,
So
let's do it.
every upgrade is just 1 or 2 components, no more 3 components. Like we used to have items that had like a whole bunch of stuff that would require. So now you see more of these traditional like tree views. And we also have no more tier 1s building directly into tier 3s. That was the thing that was confusing a lot of people. Because some tier 3s would require a tier 2 and then multiple tier 1s.
Right.
Yep.
And when you're trying to navigate through how those build into, people will get lost. So that's no longer the case. Every tier 1 will build directly into a tier 2 into a tier 3. And there will always be at least two or one from each component. So this also just makes the item upgrading fill up less inventory space. Like if you try to just, a lot of people, we understand we've been building the shop this way, you're just going to look at the tier 3 items and you're just going to click on the top one until you get it.
Yep.
So now there's going to be less total components in that tree. It's going to be less likely that you're going to fill up your whole inventory with small stat items. We made the tier 2 to tier 3 upgrades more meaningful. So what that means is there's a more significant cost jump and stat jump from owning the 2 tier 2 items versus combining those into a tier 3 item.
Okay.
In the previous alpha weekends, some of those upgrades were really cheap. So effectively having the 2 tier 2s was essentially the same as having the tier 3 already.
All right.
And the upgrade didn't feel very meaningful. So we rebalanced the cost very specifically to make sure that really is impactful. So essentially the tier 3 is roughly like 30, 30, 30, the tier 1 or tier 2 part A, tier 2 part B, and the upgrade cost.
Okay.
So it's a lot more meaningful in stats. This power spike, you're really going to feel it when you actually get a tier 3.
I
versus
think
having 2 tier
regardless,
2s.
the item system wasn't that
We
complicated.
adjusted pretty much
but
every tier
this-
3 to have more round numbers.
They
like
still
10s,
get all the
25, 50s,
benefits
no more little like 34.
of
Technically,
the, like,
my spreadsheet would tell
mathematical
you this item would be more
balancing
balanced
from this
at
system,
12 strength,
and
11
it's more
strength. But
similar
you know,
to what
I
Smite
know,
players are used to.
We don't like that.
So.
We don't like gold costs.
It's
of
a good
12,
middle
25,
ground. It is good.
stuff like that. So
It's a good system.
we cleaned up most of these. This was really easy to do on tier 3s because the stats are bigger numbers. You have more flexibility. Harder to do on tier 1s and tier 2s. So you might still see a few of those, but we did our best. We also made sure no upgrade path loses any stats. There was some possibilities in the previous alpha weekend where if you upgrade an item, you might actually lose some penetration, but
What's
like
the
doing
item
a
with the
passive
Capri
that
icon?
gives
It's a
you
hybrid item.
penetration-like effect.
Yeah.
That's no longer
It's a
gonna be
hybrid
the case.
item.
You won't lose any stats as you upgrade.
Was really good on gods like
Finally,
Chalk.
all recipes are unique. None of them are duplicates. You don't really have a good way of perceiving that in the item store, but you just have to trust us that every item is building from a unique combination. And we had to add many, many new tier 2 items to support all of these unique combinations and more clarified things. So you'll see a bigger list in the tier 2 items. Smite 1 doesn't even show you tier 2 items in the full scroll list, fun fact. So you really only see those in the tree. Again, that's similar in Smite 1. You might not care too much about them, but there's a lot more options, and you'll notice them if you really care about your bridge building, how you're building up into your tier 3s.
Yeah.
There could be some really meaningful decisions in there.
Yep.
Wow. That was
I think also it'd be good to just go through like a quick example of like a tree just to see how this actually plays out. So I have the crit tree up. So you have Kopesh, which is the combo of axe and saber, and so this is like the combo item that combines these two stats together. And if you combine that with the pure upgrade of bow, which is Hunter's bow, you get the thing that gives you strength, crit, and attack speed. That's its focus. If I go look at what Deathbringer does, it actually builds off the combo item plus the pure item of strength to give you Deathbringer, the really high damaging impact crit item. And then if you go Kopesh to Mizashi's dual sword, you have the hook sword, which is the pure crit upgrade. So this is your very critical strike, actual raw percentage focused item. And so you can see this kind of combo plus pure of the stat. It makes it just a lot
makes
easier to
more
understand what
sense.
this item's intent is and goal is. And it also is kind of a pattern that's through most of the items. There's a few that kind of cheat this here or there as needed to, but it gives you a good idea of what this component system is trying to do and convey when these items are building from these components.
Makes a lot of sense
really,
for like
ever
what
having
you're
unique
buying.
recipes really pushed us to give every item a unique identity, right? So
Yep.
just like Pon mentioned, of the 3 crit items, one's heavy strength, one's attack speed, and one's heavy crit.
Yeah.
There's no in the previous alpha weekends we'd have a couple situations where we'd have like, for example, I think it was the lifesteal items I used on the example for the patch notes show we had today. They were virtually the same stats.
Yeah.
In alpha weekend, hold on, I'm trying to get it won't Safari tabs. Previously, oh no, I didn't put that one on here, did I? I thought I put that one on here. Which one did you copy from the patch notes? I'm gonna blame a day. No, it's okay.
It's all my fault, whatever it is.
But you just gotta trust me. Like Reaper and Bloodforge had like the same stats.
Right.
The only difference was the passive versus the active. But now there's actually meaningful shifts in the stats within items of similar categories.
Yeah.
So you'll actually have items and the tier 2s will convey that ratio.
Yeah.
So yeah, here you can see.
Bloodforge is the pure upgrade of strength and lifesteal together, so it really focuses on kind of those two stats and being more defensive, whereas Reaper actually is this item plus the pure lifesteal item. It has significantly more lifesteal than Bloodforge does. And then obviously its passive can play into that as well.
Yeah.
So there's some other examples in the patch notes, like Gem of Isolation was one of those ones that used a whole bunch of tier 1s, and that just felt awkward. That's not the case anymore. Avatar's Parashu was an example because we used to use duplicates. We don't do that anymore. So this used to be axe to axe to axe to axe.
This is a strength item.
It was 4 axes and 2 skeg axes into 1 Parashu. Now it's just a bigger gold cost instead. And that does have a meaningful,
Balance
like
effect,
these
for
items that are the
sure.
more direct upgrades are a little bit more punishing to upgrade.
Yeah,
you don't
they
have
are.
as smooth of a curve. You have bigger power spikes.
Yeah,
And that was
1700
intended
gold.
in the
That's
system.
a
to
big
really
balance
feel
implication
impactful
to not be able
when
to,
you
you know,
upgrade them.
continually
Your opponents in
buy
lane are gonna
tier
need to
1s
pay
and
attention
tier
a little bit
2s
better
to
when you
build
finish
up to
those
the
type of
item.
items.
Bigger spikes and power.
Somebody again. One of my focuses has been how do we make this game learnable? Because I have a lot of friends I try to bring in who do not play MOBAs, and they're like, oh, like I don't even know what's going on. And just immediately, I love the idea that if you see an item that has a lot of strength, you immediately know, okay, that's going to build into another item that offers me a lot of strength. You know, like it seems very intuitive to just be able to climb that tree and say, oh, attack speed goes into attack speed goes into attack speed, and that's what I want as a new player who wants to attack fast. So, really big fan of all the changes y'all been making. It looks great. It looks readable, and I'm excited to get the community feedback on how this is.
It's got a lot of, and essentially the patch note that we're not.
Pon, we got to
putting in
work
here
on
is
that build.
essentially
You
every
got to
item
choose a
has had
lane.
stats and costs changed.
Yeah.
We
So
got
we're not gonna
int,
redo
we
off
got
every single item,
strength, we
increase
got
this by that,
tank.
or
You got
increase this by that,
to,
but really,
you're covering every basis. You got
as
active
MOBAs do, we're
items,
gonna
you
let
got
players
stacking items.
play with the items and feel out what's strong, what's not, and what's changed and what hasn't, and.
He's emulating a new player. That's a perfect Smite 2 build of what not to build together.
We've
only just begun.
It's a perfect build to
item
not
balance
build,
is
you
going
know?
to be big. A lot of changes still coming up, and also to add that a lot of items are using temporary icon art,
Yeah.
and almost all of them are using temporary visual effects or audio effects. Those are things that we're going to polish up in the future.
That's not the final mushroom.
When these items are more solidified and we really feel confident with them, then we'll be more comfortable going through and doing full art passes on them. So for now, expect a lot of balance still in items. A huge balance of change in this update.
Oh, for sure.
Continue to expect more heavy item balance in future updates or exciting new items. And keep in mind out in the long run, we're still looking to update those art.
Yeah. Well, once we get a little closer to like going free to play, like going full launch, we'll have a locked in item set. They'll all look like even more pretty than they do now somehow because our teams are amazing. But for now,
The Smite 1 icons still look good.
They do.
Most of them. Some of them are old.
Some of them are a little old.
No joke. Some of them are, and some of them we copied over into this game. We're still like real old, but
Yeah, when you have a 10-year-old game, that just tends to happen. So, but cool. So that was items. We made it through the item section. A lot of incredible changes, huge store overhauls, and again, another callback to the community and how a lot of those changes came directly from stuff that y'all brought to us from these alpha weekends and said, hey, this just doesn't make sense, or hey, this was cool, you tried it, maybe clean it up a little. So just a huge shout out to y'all again, as I'm going to continue to do because I love you. But we're going to keep moving. We have more to talk about. Of course, we're not done yet. There's so much that's happening for Closed Alpha 1.
Doing pretty
Next
good.
up, we are doing pretty good.
we're on pace.
Next up, we're talking gods. So we've talked about the items. We know what to expect there. But what about the gods that are going to wield those items, all right? So let's get right into it with something you read right off the top. We have god damage types. So that's the big change there.
Right. So this is just damage output.
Okay.
So there was a lot of Alpha Weekend feedback and confusion around gods being able to deal multiple damage types. And you really had to pay attention, potentially leaning on the tab screen way too often to see, is this Neath building in a way that I need to build magical protections or physical protections? Very confusing.
Got it.
Right? So now in Smite 2, gods will only deal one damage type, and it's generally the same type that they dealt in Smite 1.
Okay.
Or will specifically tell you what the new gods
Yeah,
are.
I think equally on the other side as well. It's like if you're playing, a mage Neath with int scaling, but you're dealing physical damage, which kind of penetration do I need and stuff? So it's just cascaded on both sides.
Yeah.
The way that it's been simplified now is just honestly helping everyone out.
Right, so you only need one type of penetration, and we made penetration easier to access, so you can build easier combos between
Exactly.
int pen and strength pen, where it's not limited with the pen is mismatching of the
pen with the
damage
pen
type
with
you
the
wanna
pen with the
stack.
pen with the pen, guys.
So
Pen,
they can
pen,
still
pen,
buy-
pen.
gods can still buy all items,
Pen,
and
pen.
gods will still scale with variety of stats. That's the next section.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
But gods will only deal one damage type. So if you see a Neath, you know it's physical damage. You don't got to think about it again.
Cool. And yeah, obviously there's a whole list of those of like what does what. It'll be listed with a specific god. You can also look at the patch notes if you want to see that entire list of like the way it's separated. We could read it out, but it's right there on the patch notes. You'll be able to see the whole thing. So then, right? So because gods are now dealing one type of damage, some of they fall under different scaling categories now.
Yeah, so we've kind of
I think it's.
adjusted this slightly.
I think
so
their
that gods
audio
are
has
now
slightly
specifically
desync.
categorized into three.
I thought
types
if I
of
refreshed it,
scaling.
it would help. But
Strength
no, I
ability
think their
scaling,
audio
int
is
ability
slightly
scaling, or
desync.
mixed ability scaling.
I thought I wanted to make sure it wasn't on
so-
my Twitch end.
Strength ability scaling gods will only be able, will essentially have no use for intelligence. They can still buy all the items.
Yeah.
But they will effectively not have a use for intelligence. They just scale off strength.
I know. I sold them my mic.
And that's all
it
they
actually
got.
is the same mic.
I
which is
guess
funny.
the only
Isn't
slight
that funny?
exception is basic attacks. There's an exception.
Yeah, I was just like,
patch notes.
we'll get
So
to that.
every god scales off 100% strength plus 20% int for their basic attacks. So even those gods, like if you want to build Chronos Pendant on her just for super low cooldown impales, you will get a little bit of
It
basic
happened
attack
in their
damage
last
from
patch
that
note stream as
intelligence
well.
on that item, and you still there is still that exception. But for the ability scaling,
I think
strength
it's
only. Previously,
specifically
we had
Dandy's
a
mic that
couple
does it?
gods like Loki that had maybe one utility effect on one ability that would maybe scale off intelligence. We found that most people were finding that to be confusing and not meaningful and not useful.
The full intelligence blind build went so hard.
Those things have been removed. It's generally really small things on a couple gods.
Yeah.
So I think in this list, Loki is like
You
the
do
only
1
example
damage now.
of the strength only
I
gods
also agree
that
that
had an int.
I
So
did
then
prefer it the other
int-only
way,
gods,
but I
similarly,
understand
none
that
of their
for new
abilities scale off
players, this is
strength.
just a
They
vastly
still can
superior
buy,
system, so it's less
do
confusing, and
ADC
that's
builds
okay to me.
by building strength,
And
because
that's
they will get
okay.
100% strength scaling on their basic attacks. Everybody has that, but they won't have anything on their abilities that scales off strength through their int gods.
Makes sense.
And then mixed ability scaling gods will use strength and int for various ability damage scaling effects throughout the kit. This includes
It was kind of
Ares,
neat that
Athena,
Chalk's healing
Bacchus,
scale
Kronos,
differently.
Chalk,
Nope, that will still
Mordred,
work that
Neith,
way.
Odin, Sol, Ymir. And we have a couple balance changes we'll get to soon that explain some of these choices a little bit more specifically. But
Scaling
these gods generally,
does not
like,
equal
specifically
damage
like
type.
Sol and Ymir, we wanted to encourage a strength build because they have
We're talking
true
about
ADC
physical
potential, even though they're
magical
historically
damage are
magical
going
gods.
to be
So we added a little bit of strength scaling to
solidatory,
their abilities
okay?
to make those more smooth, and we'll talk
Neith
about that
will
soon.
only
but-
do
so-
Super
physical
cool
damage.
stuff there. And again, there's lists of all
Chalk
of these.
will
We
only
just
do
gave you all like
physical
the mixed
damage.
list there, but the list of all
But
three of the
Chalk's
different
healing
categories
will
will
still
be, or is
scale
available on
off
the
of
patch notes.
int
You can check that out if you wanna
compared
see,
to
like,
his
where does
damage
my
will
god
scale
fall on
off
that
of
list?
strength.
So again, it's relatively intuitive, especially if you come from Smite 1.
Et cetera,
But if you're
et cetera,
new
et
here,
cetera.
then it's a good thing to check out to figure out what kind of build path you should be going. So now, like you said, we have some buffs and nerfs to talk about. This isn't
The
going to
jazz
be
hands
every
helped
single
good.
buff and nerf. There are more on the patch note, so if you want to read through all of those, you'll catch a few that we don't talk about here. But we kind of isolated some of the bigger ones, or some of the ones that have a little more dramatic change. And we're kicking off with Ares.
Yeah, Ponder Clumsy, you want to take this one?
I'll take Ares. So Ares, first off, his basic attack damage, it's been changed from physical to magical, again, to go with the previous discussion point that we had. Blessed Armaments, that's his new passive, the one that for the amount of protections and cooldown rate he builds, he gets more int and strength to give to his team. It was giving quite a bit. It was a lot. So,
It was very. He was
it's
way
like
too
20%
strong.
of his protections from items
Okay.
being converted to, I believe, strength.
Good
it's now
nerf.
12.5%, so a pretty substantial nerf there. Also, Shackles, we had a bug with him. He was dealing, essentially the chain dot was stacking in a way that was unintended. It wasn't actually showing the damage numbers,
Okay.
but all the individual chains did full damage for what they were supposed to do, which is why I think in our weekend had like a 65% win rate.
He was by
Yeah.
far the winningest.
Okay, that's why he was
nerfs
doing
on
so
it.
much
Yeah, you got a
damage.
lot
He
of,
was
essentially nerfs for his
busted.
passive, fixes for this
Busted.
shackle damage that was really, really giving him a ton of
Okay.
damage. Also, again, change the damage type. And then finally, No Escape. The initial damage has been shifted
Cool.
around a little bit. So now it has, it goes from 65 to 165 plus 25 to 60, 140 plus 30% strength. So lower base, but higher strength scaling potential.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things about this mixed scalings is like, even though Ares is still going to do all magical damage,
I'm so ready for
you
Smite
can
2.
build a
Get
full
me out of the
strength
hellhole that is Smite
Ares
1.
build, which
Get
is
me
something
out.
I feel like Smite 1 players have always wanted, was like and they felt like Ares might have fit better as a physical god and things like that. And now those type of things are possible.
And we did things to support it too. Like I think he has lower post fires as well, to make sure that he can actually basic attack after things more effectively and cancel properly. So
Yeah.
we also made changes to the god's feel to make sure that that is more supported.
Yeah.
Y'all just can't not do good work. However you phrase that, they do great work. So continuing down Guardians that start with A, let's talk about Athena.
Yeah, so Athena is the damage tape change from physical to magical, like we talked about. We're going to see that kind of trend along a lot of these. Reach, the passive damage was also changed from physical to magical, and the damage was actually shifted from scaling off of basic attack damage to scaling back to more traditional strength and intelligence. So there was some fun, quirky little combos you could do.
Double multiplication with hydras and crit.
Yeah, some things that you could do that. I mean, I was having a lot of fun in some of the alpha weekends going crit Athena in the jungle, but maybe a little bit too much fun. A lot of people noticed that. So now, if you want to have that extra damage off of your reach passive, you're going to need to probably build off of not dagger or frenzy and more traditional strength and
And there is one little loaded change in here, which is that int is significantly higher. So if you want to do full int magical like jungle Athena, reach is going to be scaling a lot better off that than previously.
Your normal basic attack scaling of 120 is now 125 and 70, which is a really big change.
Right.
Yeah.
Preemptive strikes, also the damage changing from physical and magical, and so we're doing some fun stuff here with protection scaling, right? So physical protections increase to scale with physical protections from your builds, and same thing with the magical protections. But more interestingly, there, confound, the taunt duration, is actually going to be scaling with protections from items as well.
Wow.
So you're going to get a 0.2 second increase to your taunt duration for every 150 protections from items you get, stacking up to 2 times.
And I believe this is the threshold version, right?
Yes.
So you have to actually get to 150 procs to see that benefit. It won't actually be, if you're at 140, you won't see this benefit yet.
Yep. So you have to get from items specifically of either physical or magical protections, get to the 150, get to 300 for the max benefit.
Okay, weird.
Super cool too to see, like, with all these scaling changes, to see that now protections on Guardians start to provide scaling for their abilities as well. So you get to scale from protection. Just really cool to see, especially as a Guardian lover. So continuing on that train, we have Bacchus getting some changes as well.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, go for it.
So again, type changings to match the above notes. Chug now has damage scaling increased to be more intense. So it goes from 0 to 60 to actually ranking up each time you rank up Chug. So you have more of a reason to rank up Chug. Belly Flop had the damage change again. We also now have another protection scaling component added. So rather than just 85% of strength, it's also now plus 60% of your protections as well. So this gives you another reason to go really tanky and get that extra belly flop.
Heavy boy.
Yeah, he's heavier. When he's wearing that much armor, it hurts more. It just makes sense.
I love it.
And then Bells to the Gods, it now applies anti-heal again. That was something that we had removed in a very earlier version of this, but it felt like he was just missing that utility that he brought to his team. So he now applies anti-heal again. We've also increased the base damage overall just to give him a bit more potential when fighting, especially as you rank this up.
That's right.
Yeah, so don't get jumped on if he's wearing full plate mail.
Interesting.
So moving on to somebody else who wears armor, we have Bologna.
Yep. So Bologna is actually pretty interesting because we had to do, we also want to do a little bit of balance where we can for these gods. So this is going to be a little bit of a shift. Bologna's in Smite 2 has been pretty good at certain times, and this is going to be toning down in some aspects and buffing up in others. So the basic attacks for Bologna, specifically in the Hammer's Cleave, the damage has been changed from 33 to 66% of your basic attack damage, so a little bit of an increase there. Master of War, on the other hand, the passive, your physical protection has been decreased from 7 per stack to 4 per stack.
Okay.
Same thing there for the magical protections. That seems like a lot, but it also just shows you how strong we think she was with that passive that's in effect all the time, especially because Smite 2's Master of War passive is slightly stronger just as a whole. It gives you a lot more than in Smite 1's. Shield Bash, well, we're playing along with that protection scaling again, so the damage is scaling from 70% strength to 70% strength and 30% of the protections. The base reflect damage is being decreased from 30 to 25. So for Shield Bash specifically, which kind of
some
like
of these protection scalings will get real scary real quick because then we're back into the realm of building tank gives you
similarly,
damage.
Eagles Rally, the ultimate, the strength bonus and the intelligence bonus is going to be shifted to actually be a lower base amount, but now gaining 10% protection scaling. So overall, if you're building more frontline, you're building a little bit more tankier, you're going to see a noticeable jump.
It has to stay within the range because it could get out of control
as well as
really
physical
fast.
protection increased with 10%,
Really fast.
and magical protection increased by 10% of your protection. So still, again, a little bit more strength there from your protections.
Yeah, and again, just a super cool stat to see start to play into that little bit of offense. Like I can build full tank and still know that I'm not just going to get into a wet noodle fight.
No
with
placement
the rest of the
games
team.
for
Like,
red.
I jump
You
in there,
start
I
at
am
0
still a
and you
threat,
work your way up.
but I'm also a little more protected too. So really cool to continue to see. Next up, we're getting Unchained. We have Fenrir.
So Fenrir, the kind of traditional really bursty jungler, now can kind of flex into the support role. We see that commonly for him, just really reinforcing that. So Unchained is getting damage scaling not only from strength but also from protections. Ragnarok, support Fenrir. Again, getting protection scaling, especially physical protection scaling on Ragnarok. We're just giving him more during that period of time. So just really enforcing if you want to play that supporty role where you are the front line, you're the Fenrir that wants to leap in, you want to bite someone for your team, carry them over, and you're just trying to be a disruption Fenrir, if you want to get that early pressure from your aggressive playstyle, you can now leverage that a lot more effectively, and as you build procs, you'll be rewarded for that. There's also a bug fix note, which is that he can no longer bite structures. Again, he couldn't do that in Smite 1. We just are matching that. It's
Tanky Fen getting damage off of protections is kind of spooky, but
where he could also do that to Fire Giant, and he became a.
I want to pick up a tower and carry it back to you like a big old stick.
Right.
That's so funny.
Oh man, you nerfed my boy. He just wanted the stick, dude. It's super cool changes. Next up, we're going to the underworld. We have Hades to check in on.
Hades has also been pretty good, so we're getting to see some
Nerf
shift,
him, yeah.
happening here too. So death from below, the base damage is just going to be decreasing from 7270 to 70 to 250 with a little bit of an int scaling decrease as well. But similar to Athena and that confound change, silence and the fear scaling has been added to Shroud of Darkness with that same threshold mechanic. So 150 protections from items stacking up to 2 times. You can start gaining an increase in the duration of the silence and fear of that ability.
Cool.
Pretty darn cool. Devour Souls, also a bit of a base damage decrease there, but with the healing this time, you're going to see a little bit of scaling change there from your protections from items. So again, going a little bit tanky and not just the full offense Hades, you're going to be seeing a little bit of decrease in playstyle there for the offense, but an increase in different parts of your playstyles with protections. And one last one there, Pillar of Agony.
Hades support is also strong.
Physical and magical protection.
I think he's a stronger mid laner, but as a support, he's
it's been fun being
very
able to,
strong.
with that Smite 2 change of being able to use an ability in your ult.
No, I think it's all
it's insane.
protection
I love it.
scaling. I don't
I'm
think
not
any
surprised Hades is
HP
popping off, 'cause
scaling.
that's just a fun.
No.
That's just a whole level of
real good.
gameplay. So next up, somebody we touched on a little bit earlier, Soul, getting one notable change here.
And this one will actually go into the next character as well, Ymir. These Ymir and Soul are the two characters that have that kind of, they want to either be kind of more int bursty or have that more in-hand play style. But either way, you want your core damaging ability, in Soul's case, Stellar Burst, to feel pretty good to use whatever route you go.
Yeah.
And so adding strength scaling here just helps that be a more consistent ability, a more consistent threat when you're facing Soul, and useful in both types of builds. And we think that's just going to feel good to Soul players. In the same way that Ymir, if we want to go to the next character.
Let's roll right into Ymir.
Outside of the damage changing, Glacial Strike is also getting that strength scaling because, again, he is smacking the ground with that giant mallet. It feels very like strength focused, but the ice feels
That's
very
a huge
focused.
buff
And so
to
getting that,
damage
like,
Ymir,
extra
because
strength
damage
scaling is gonna make that
Ymir
ability feel
for
good
crit
in the more
builds
strength-focused
strength,
face
which
punching
means
your
that Glacial
playstyle.
Strike and a strength build
You
is
may
actually
see,
going
like,
to
base
slap.
damage decreases there, but also
Slap.
because he's gaining a new
Yes.
component of strength scaling, that's
Yeah.
actually going to be making up.
And
for it.
everyone has strength for free for their base attacks. So yeah.
Yeah, they're getting that per level, so that more than makes up for it.
And he's got one more exciting tank change.
Yep, Shards of Ice. So we've decreased the damage floor that this ability does when you are building int. So if you're focused on making this hit as hard as possible, the more int you build, essentially the floor will increase if you just want to quick fire it, making it so that if you in the situations where you can only get a really quick charge off, it's still going to hurt more. As well as it now has damage scaling from protections as well. So not only intelligence you build, but if you build tanky,
Bro,
you're the
Ymir
front line
is
for your
so
team,
strong.
your
It's my
ult
two.
is
He's
going
gonna be a
hurt
menace.
still, because it is a giant AoE field with a giant explosion,
Jeez.
giant buildup. It should always hurt. So getting that, regardless of what playstyle you go, is just going to feel nice for Ymir players.
So we had a lot of feedback from Alpha Weekend that tanks just weren't feeling impactful. So that's why you saw a lot of tank buffs today. And then a lot of other changes you saw today were designed around encouraging role flexibility.
Yeah.
You know, encouraging more play styles, adding those unique protection scalings, leveraging the strength and int system. So really a lot of cool things that we could come together with just through balance within the Smite 2 system.
For sure. And something that I've been honestly one of the most excited about for Smite 2 is just how much we're leaning into role diversity with the way that items work, the way that gods can build any item now. That's always been one of my favorite things. I love the meme builds. I love seeing stuff like that. So seeing it become more accessible in certain ways is just, oh man, I'm excited. All right. So this next point's kind of big. So we're still talking gods. That's all the god balance we're talking about right now. You can see any additional that we didn't talk about on the patch notes. But this next spot is big. So it's just called God Polish is what we're calling this section. But
God
that
Polish
envelops two small words for what envelops such a huge category of work that was done since Alpha Weekend 4. So who wants to lead the charge on that?
Pon, you want to take it off the start?
Yeah, I have to work on a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So we had a major goal after the feedback of AW4 where we had gods that just didn't feel like we were meeting the polish mark that we wanted to. There were things that felt missing, things that didn't feel quite right. And so we looked at all that feedback and we create basically like a giant list of things that we wanted to address.
Okay.
And so a lot of these changes, it's going to be too difficult to go into all the detail of all this. I definitely suggest you read the notes and see all the stuff that's in there. But we had kind of either major global changes that we tried to do or more character specific ones. Some of the global changes we did were we did audio passes on most of the audio sounds of the game. So things like when Susano did his auto attacks, the slash was really, really loud. and it had the same sound that happened when you hit. And that actually made it really difficult to tell when you're auto-attacking whether or not that hit connected.
Got it.
We found that was a trend across a lot of the abilities where
was.
Smite 1
It
kind of
was a
respected
trend.
the hit a bit more.
Yeah.
We were making them more equivalent, and so that made it really hard to understand combat. Things like that, or things like the auto-attack chain. When you finish an auto-attack chain in Smite 1, you almost always end in a grunt. In Smite 2, we were more randomly playing that grunt sound, and that actually made it really hard to understand if you were getting the final hit.
I remember when you found that. I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is so wild.
We had things like animation blend times not quite matching. So Odin, when he ulted, he would actually go a lot higher in the air, because if you cancel that with an auto attack, we want you to be able to do that so it feels snappy.
Yeah.
He was really high up in the air, where in Smite 1 he doesn't do that because the blend times are different. So we have a lot of these global systems where that's going to affect a lot of gods, and we still have more work to do in that front. We didn't get every single character adjusted. You can read to see kind of what our global adjustments are and get an idea of where we're going to be addressing all the characters going in the future.
Got it.
We also have systems like dashes. Dashes weren't respecting properly the end location. They had a little bit of hitchiness. And in Susano, that was really noticeable. And that was what first keyed us in, was he was dashing past the target, which made it really hard when you dash through to turn an auto attack cancel someone.
Yeah.
So a lot of those core systems also got updates. So that's like the kind of global level stuff. I definitely suggest you read that stuff and see kind of what's all there, because that's going to affect basically every character you play.
There's a lot of stuff there on the
It's a
patch notes.
huge number of changes.
Now, going into the specific god sections, when we were talking about how we were going to present this, instead of going through every single thing, we felt it would be better to just kind of go through every single, like the actual count. So
Every change is written in the patch notes.
every change is written in the
Every
patch
change
notes.
is there.
But just to give you an idea, on
don't
her
need every
hat,
change.
and these are not balance changes. These are things that we consider things that you're going to notice in your gameplay that's going to make your gameplay feel better or look better.
Yeah.
Total quality of life.
So
Quality of life
polish adjustments. So on her got 8, Athena got 4, Ares got 7, Bellona got 14, Kurtanos got 2, Chalk got 28, Fenrir got 5, Hades got 5, Hecate got 3, Kukulkan got 33, Sol got 5, Susano got 12, Thanatos got 8, Morgan got 3, Loki got 9, Neith got 2, Odin got 10, Ymir got 14. So overall, I don't actually know the count, but it's probably approaching 200 individual things to make the gods feel better.
I was about to say, and because I wrote the notes for this, I wrote the word approximate on there, because you go through, and technically I think there are more
Good.
bullet points than changes I listed. So like, there are probably more changes than that even. It was insane.
Yeah, and just to give you the highlights, because we're not going into that, I just want to make sure that I want to call out some of the more major things that are going to be most noticeable.
Of course.
Ymir, Chalk, and Kukulkan got basically full VFX passes, kind of with a new standard in mind about how these VFX should be portrayed, what the quality level should be, how they should interact with combat clarity. So be on the lookouts for them. Loki and Thanatos and Sano got partial VFX passes, so these were more focused around individual abilities, so it's not a complete suite rework. If you want to get the most different example, Kukulkan especially had a big color scheme update so that his wind feels unique to him, where it had a lot of different colors that made it hard to understand what really belonged to him. It now matches him a lot better. We also had specific god-like changes that I want to call out that weren't in our balance notes, but will affect your gameplay. So on her and Ymir, we had complaints about people saying the wall aiming where it snaps behind you was too far, like, it was too close. So like if you want to put the wall close up in front of you, it snapped behind you in a way that you didn't expect it to. You have to aim really at your feet. It's not so we tightened that range up.
Good.
Ares, we significantly reduced the post fire and call to arms. It was too long, so if you 2'd, you just couldn't auto attack for a while after that.
Okay.
Fenrir now has haste in his ult, so that when he bites, he doesn't slow down.
Oh, good.
He also now probably drops his target with a little bit of forward velocity, so that
Good. They don't
lets
get
you
put
actually
behind
auto attack
you.
him
Right.
after
Good.
you drop him from the
Good,
ult. Soul Stellar Burst timing has been adjusted, and VFX should now match the growth rate. It was actually had a small delay that was unintended. Susano had a lot of different things from AWE4 to now. So things like size hit areas were updated and fixed. Some functionality things about whether they were radial sweeps versus instant cones. The ult got a size increase. The ult now has the VFX now fills the whole area. So things that we had a lot of notes on from AWE4 have been addressed in Susano. The Morgan, one common piece of feedback was that the AO1, the first ability, if you're holding left click when the targeter is like ready to fire, it should automatically fire. That is now there. And additionally, she also had a bug where she was unstealthing. So if you were stealthed and then you brought up your 2 and you're like, actually, I don't want a 2, you right clicked, you exited stealth.
That's
that
funny.
has been fixed.
funny.
Neith will now slide along the wall when she backflips, but doesn't go over wall. So in Smite 2, if she backflips, she can actually go over walls. But if there's no safe location on the other side, she instead kind of goes towards like the wall and slides along it. But she would get stuck, and so now she actually slides along it. So you're not going to
Cool.
just kind of like eat your whole backward
That's a big
motion.
change.
Dead stop.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
That's nice.
And
That's
Odin's
nice.
Ring of Spear and has a much lowered post fire, as does Gungnir's Might have a much lower post fire. You'd use those abilities and you couldn't auto attack for a while after that, and that just didn't feel good. So those have been adjusted. And those are the ones that stood out to me as I wanted to call attention to, but they are not the only ones in that list.
Yeah, exactly.
God, I'm so
There's
excited.
a lot.
Someone's got a lot
excited
of
for
fun
Smite
going through
2.
reading all those changes and seeing
Yeah.
all the stuff there. But there's a
I'm
lot
ready.
of stuff there. A big shout out to the audio team,
Give it to
who
me,
did
Papa.
a major pass on a lot of this
I wanna
feedback.
play it.
Big shout out to the VFX team who did
I'm
a
ready.
lot of work to make all
I'm
this stuff
ready
come
to move
together.
on to my Smite
Big shout out to
2
the
career.
programming team who identified these bugs and really worked to try and crush them. There's a lot of effort
Let me
and
play,
focus
Clumsy.
on this patch to make God Polish a focus and intention that you guys would notice and feel going into the closed alpha. So definitely be on the lookout for all those changes. And if things don't still feel good to you, know that we're committed to changing this stuff and making it feel good.
And big shout outs to Pawn. He's been absolutely fantastic and kicking ass on all of these. Like, I can't imagine how many of these would have just been lost.
I have so many Google Docs.
Dude, and shout out, so many cool changes. This is only minorly related, just the Neath thing. You know, Alpha Weekend 4, we got to play Arena. I brought my brother into Arena because, you know, I'm like, hey, come play this new game. Like, give me the feedback, you know? And the first thing he did was he left base, backflipped over the wall into the base, and said, I want you to thank whoever had this idea. Because he'd been wanting to do that. That big Neath player, he'd been wanting to do that for years. So he was like, Harrison, buy them a gift. Give them a basket. So
Neath 2.
Neath 2. So, all right. We're still in God World, but we got some exciting new God stuff to talk about. And by
you know
new
I'm
God
going
stuff,
to,
I
big
mean
guy.
new gods to Smite 2. One of them is coming from Smite 1. One of them is coming from the imagination of our creative people.
Imagination Land.
Yeah, well, lore and then imagination land. So either way, let's get into the new gods you can expect in the roster for closed Alpha 1 Smite 2, starting with Jing Wei popping in. Or
Oh, hey, fam. Oh, hey, fam.
Oh, hey, fam.
Hey, fam.
So yeah, Jing Wei is arriving in Smite 2, and with some changes as well. A few new features, I think, to kind of christen her Smite 2 kit.
Yeah, I mean, Clumsy, I figure you take the lead on this
I was just
section.
like, sure, but you.
No,
sure?
this is your god. This is just as much your goddess now than it's mine.
Work. Yeah, I mean, Jing Wei has been really interesting. I mean, we did the deep dives on her. We kind of showed her off a little bit, but yeah, she's coming new into CA1, and we're super excited to show off how we could bring Jing Wei, you know, a really iconic god from Smite 1 into Smite 2 without, you know, we always have this goal in Smite to kind of just take the playstyle, distill it, and find ways that we'd amplify it with kind of this +1 features. With Jing Wei, we didn't want to, you know, move the ball too far. We really explored some kind of crazy options, but the further we went, the further we realized, like, this isn't Jing Wei anymore. This isn't actually that fun. It's not what players would expect, and we wanted to make sure that we really found a way to balance those pieces of feedback. But we found some really cool and exciting things
That's what
on
I've
that
heard.
path as well. So some of the new features, Jing Wei's Persistent Gust. So that's her first ability. It now has a secondary larger circle area. So this doesn't hit enemies, but it allows Jing Wei to gain the buff that she would have normally gained from having to be self-CC'd and knocked up.
Yeah.
So we do have
Interesting.
game if we want to.
I was about to say,
Yeah.
let's dive into it. Yeah, we
Interesting.
can show it all.
There we go.
You see that first ability is kind of a double circle now.
cool.
You've still got your normal Persistent Gust deployable in the
Oh,
center.
that's
That'll knock up
super
yourself, knock up
nice.
enemies just as you would expect. But now you can be in this larger area.
Huge quality
to
of
gain that
life
buff.
for
You
Jing
don't
The
right
buff
there.
without having to CC yourself is a big change.
Yeah,
It's a
that
big
is
change.
So big.
Right.
That being said, using it in practice is a little bit difficult sometimes. If you want to use it at range, you need to get back in there, right? Like it's still a very, it's not just ubiquitously
Love
just
it.
good all the time. You need
Right.
to still position
W
yourself
indeed.
well, especially in team fights. So your second ability, Explosive
That fly
Bolts, honestly,
animation
this is
was
the big one.
Right.
This is a pretty big deal. Well, there's another one too. But your Explosive Bolts actually gains charges per rank. So at the first rank of your ability, you only get one charge. One charge still comprises of 3 ammo shots, just like it does in Smite 1. But as you rank that ability up, you can go to 2 ability charges and then finally 3 ability charges.
Oh,
so that
okay.
means if you're
Interesting.
using them and you have all 3 ability charges, you can technically gain 9 explosive ball shots all back to back. Or
Interesting.
just like you can in Smite 1, you can actually use this ability, put it on cooldown, and accumulate a charge back during that time.
That's awesome.
So you can get even more than that 9. But not stopping there,
Interesting.
because one thing that we didn't even write in the patch notes that are technically there too. So the third ability, I'm going to come back to that. Don't worry, it's a small segue.
All
The third ability, Agility, the dash now actually has a little bit of a turning to it. So you can now, whether you're in the air or doing it from the ground, getting a little bit of turn left and right.
Neato
Air control. You can kind
burrito.
of turn corners around that. You can do this from
Neato
other gods' displacement effects as well. But it
burrito.
also gives you an ability charge for your second ability too.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cool.
So multiple ways of
Is
playing
that
around
only if you fire it off of the Persistent Gust,
All
or
right.
every time you?
every time you fire it.
So every
On
time you
fire.
fire
You can
it,
just
you're
quick fire.
essentially like queuing up. So we kind of made that like secret, load reload mechanic that Jing Wei had. We made it a little bit more intentional and more present throughout the kit.
That's
and,
fun.
Yeah, you can get those full 9 explosive bolts, but you need to fire 1, 2, 3 ability activate.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
You can't just go spam, spam, spam and queue up 9 ammo.
Yeah,
Just like
have to
by one, you would
balance it out.
sacrifice to each your turn.
Yeah, right there. I
go.
spent 2 of my charges. So I had 1 in the bank, and then I used my 2, and I just went to 3. I didn't get a 4th one.
She's got a new passive meter that shows the pips on the bottom are the ability charges, and the birds in the top are the current ammo.
Exactly.
So
No.
1, 2, 3, press 2.
No.
4, 5,
Oh, I
6.
ain't gonna
That
lie.
being said, there's obviously balance knobs and like tweaks here and there. The ability still gains crit over time, but this physical power scaling is a little bit lowered based on the ranks to kind of make up for the ability changes too. That being said, we're really excited for people to check it out. But that's not it, because we've got one more pretty cool change for her ultimate, actually. Airstrike, well, it does exactly what you'd expect, where Jing Wei charges up, goes up into the air, and fires forwards, and has her hover time, and then she can land. But if you time out the ultimate hover time, I'm just gonna wait for it.
Just chill.
You actually go backwards and do the entire dash again.
You get a second alt.
A second strafe.
So you can fire this just like you always have. You don't have to be disruptive. Like a lot of times people are just going to fire this, look for damage, and look to land right out the bat.
Yeah.
We didn't want to disrupt that. But now you have this whole extra element where you can mind game your opponent because they already know what you're going to do. This ability was getting really predictable in Smite 1. You can also just get more damage if you, or more immunity time by staying up there. People, hitting in that area is a little harder to hit because it's going to go back to where you came from.
The sound
But
effect
there's
on her
so there's an
ultimate, by
extra
the way,
skill
is
element for the
baller.
Jing Wei
There's
player.
like some
There's a
music
lot
in the
of really cool stuff
background.
here.
Again, some small balance knobs there. You don't you can't go as far as you could if you're going from like the hover state to the landing state. So we know that Jing Wei is also a very safe character. We didn't want to take that away from her, but we wanted to just make sure that we curtailed it. So like you're not gaining, I don't know, 60 feet. Maybe you're gaining like 40 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
In Smite 1 terms. So yeah, everything. I think we're pretty excited with these
She was
changes.
busted in the
Real,
flash
breath of
test.
fresh
I
air into
mean,
Jing Wei and coming to Smite 2.
That's a strong
Get it,
kit.
'cause she can fly. All right,
Those
super
are
cool.
strong buffs.
And I'm so
for
excited
sure
to see Jing Wei
for
pop up.
the
I mean,
Jing
legitimately,
Shui.
every new god that hits the Smite 2 roster,
know?
like getting to this point where like you see them live and in action, you see their kit displayed, it's just tingles, dude, every time. I get super excited. And now we're moving on to a new god. So this is the second brand new god to Smite 2.
Now,
We're
I'm
talking
excited
Mordred
to
now.
see Mordred because
So,
I
I
have
mean,
not
Should I
spoiled
switch and use the
myself.
abilities?
Yeah,
I have not
yeah,
spoiled
we should do
myself
that. Just
outside
do
of,
it
I
like
guess,
do
we
before.
watched the
Just do
trailer,
a kit showcase.
Hey, there's
There's
Mordred.
Mordred
I don't
in the
know
game for the first
specifically
time.
what
Let's
his
do a run
abilities
cycle
do.
showcase.
True.
Yep.
'Cause we
Actually,
have
that's not the command anymore.
No, it's supersonic.
Yeah, but then I'm super fat. We're gonna.
Yeah, then it's not as
Cool
cool.
aesthetic.
walk
I like
slow.
it.
You can
I saw
turn it
people
off now.
complaining about his aesthetic on
I can't
Reddit, but I think it
all the
looks
new
cool.
tools we get to play with.
yeah,
I don't even know all of
I don't know.
them yet.
Maybe I'm
still
lame. I think it
limited
looks
by his
cool.
Smite 1 memory of having to cheat in the game during the patch show.
This
Tool-
guy is no longer
two
the limit.
swords
There's
is
space and
dope.
Stars out
Okay.
there.
All right, go.
All right, let's just
Alright,
do.
he
He
like,
definitely gives off
showcase.
anime vibes for sure. It's fine by me. Cool animations. Cool. Cool.
And I'll get enough energy.
Yeah, I was just like, you may need to. That might be bugged a little
Yeah,
bit.
so-
Oh, come to switch class.
Yes, because of switch class. But then we got this,
Yeah.
and then
Do you want to
I
use
will.
The, character? Yeah, you got it. You got it.
You know the secret techniques.
So now we got the ultimate, because again,
ultimate
this is like.
Ultimate.
This
Like,
is the one part that I do know.
Go over all these abilities in a second.
Oh man, his animations are
sick.
insane.
That's sick.
Yeah.
All right, so that was a lot of stuff. So I guess first and foremost, while we continue to look at the kit a little bit, why Mordred? What brought Mordred as the next
Jeepers.
god into Smite 2?
So we talked about it a little bit in the early videos. I'll echo some of those sentiments, but there was a lot of community requests for this character.
Yeah.
A lot of rogue polls on social media that we don't always go off those, but specifically for this god, we did want to look for a character like that. So we saw he was topping a lot of those polls, more than we honestly thought. So we started to consider him a little more seriously, and then we also were looking for someone to kind of contrast Hecate as one of the first gods. So we were looking for someone a little bit more just evil and angry and mean, and we were also looking for someone melee and physical.
Yeah.
And so Mordred started to stack up in a lot of ways that worked out like that. And then, as we started brainstorming the kit and the planning, we really felt like he had some really cool opportunities for abilities that really
the fact that it's
showcased
multiple
Smite 2
people
and
is
felt like stuff
knocking
that
fun.
we normally wouldn't do.
Yeah.
So all those things came together to just got Mordred officially on the
That's
calendar.
so scary,
Nice.
dude.
So, I mean, yeah, we've seen all of his kit now. We've seen it in action, but let's talk about what we're seeing. So first up, I know that his basic attacks, because of his 2 swords, are a little special. What's going on there?
Yeah, so one really last caveat on that point is Mordred, there's going to be some expectations when you have Mordred, right? He is the antagonist to the story. He's the rival to King Arthur, and we really wanted to make sure that, one, we found a unique playstyle for him and what he's going to be in Smite 2, but 2, we had homages to the Arthurian lore. We had homage to King Arthur as well. We thought that would be really key to who Mordred would be in Smite 2.
Of course.
So going back into the kit, like you were saying, so yeah, in Smite 2, and for Mordred, new to Smite 2, just like it's weird to finally see him out there.
Right.
We didn't want to just go with like traditional Excalibur's contrast, right? We split that in 2. Mordred is going to be wielding 2 longer than normal, hefty swords. One in the right hand that we've dubbed Morning, and left hand is actually the canonical Clarence. So that one's actually in one of the stories was a gift from Guinevere.
Okay.
So for Mordred, he's going to be playing around. He's got a lot of different themes going on, but one of them is the split between strength and intelligence, something that we haven't talked about a lot today, but we want to play with in Smite 2. We want to play with specifically with Mordred. He's got a 4-hit basic attack chain, and he attacks and he swings not quite alternating, but between the 2 swords. Morning, his right hand sword, Clarent, and then Morning. That's actually going to be pretty important for his playstyle. One, because he's got a chain swing time of 0.75, and 1, so he's actually has faster swings on Clarent. But 2, is because the different swords have different scaling. Morning has the traditional strength heavy scaling of 100% strength and 20% int, but Clarent actually has a pretty heavy reverse where it does 100% int scaling and 60% strength. So that's 40% less strength than normal, but 80% more intelligence.
Yeah.
So you really can play an in-hand intelligence Mordred kind of emphasized build.
That's
And that's
cool.
just kind of one component. So long story
Very
short,
weird.
for Mordred, he is kind of a hybrid frontliner. We're expected to see playstyles of both strength or int, but more likely hybrid itemization.
Yeah. Which is awesome because, again, you get to utilize that whole item pool and just figure out where your best build is and where your comfort zone is. So let's keep moving down the list. Let's move on to the passives.
Yeah.
What passive are we
So
looking at?
Mordred's passive is kind of split into 2 parts. One is just really describing his energy and resource-based mechanism, and this is the biggest mirror to King Arthur.
All right.
He builds his own energy. So Wrath of the Forsaken, the name of his passive, he gains his own energy resource called Wrath. You can see that in the passive meter, and based on that, just like King Arthur, he gains 2 different ultimates based on 40 and 80 Wrath.
Okay.
So at 40 Wrath, he'll gain access to his first ultimate, and at 80 Wrath, he'll gain access to his second, and it'll drain that amount of Wrath respectively. He gains Wrath just by attacking enemies, both minions or enemy gods with base attacks and abilities.
Okay, cool.
I actually haven't had a turn off character test sheet.
Oh, no, you're just going to go negative if you want.
Oh, let's just go negative.
Yeah, so same command, but instead of 100, do like minus whatever you want to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Nice.
Cool.
So that's the description of the resource and kind of how you gain access to the ulti. The actual passive is what Pon's doing over here. It's called Shoulder Charge. It's something that we wanted to play around with. We played it with Hecate. We talked about that interact feature, and we wanted to do that but different and for Mordred. So Mordred, if you use an ability, any sort of attack or a basic attack, you actually have a small window where you can use that interact button to shoulder charge and quick hit an enemy. So with his base kit, you have your first, second, third, fourth, fifth abilities and your shoulder charge.
Yeah.
That's the way we got to do it.
And I'm cheating with cooldowns. He doesn't do this that often.
Yes, your shoulder charge passive
It has a
active ability
traditional ability cooldown.
has a normal ability cooldown
That's
that does scale per
cool,
level.
though.
But
You
so
hit that jump button at the right time, and you'll do this shoulder charge instead.
that is
Exactly.
Man, y'all just can't stop being creative with ways to use this feature. All right.
It does go through
Cool.
enemy minions, stopping on the first enemy god, knocking them up. So you can't knock up multiple
Okay.
enemy gods, but it's really good. It's short range,
Okay,
but we're really
okay,
expecting to see
okay,
weaving
okay.
this in combat.
Oh, for sure. I
It's
can
not
see
really
this
gain for-
part of lane dueling too, especially if you're
Exactly.
playing out the solo lane. You just cut right through the minion wave to start your engage, catch them off guard because they didn't think you were about to dash through. Really cool stuff. So I guess let's move on to his first ability, Cruel Strikes.
Yep, Cruel Strikes, his first ability. A lot more simple, but he's got some fun nuance. I feel like I say that every time when I'm describing gods. So it's got some nuances going on. So the first thing he does is he swipes in a cone, and then he attacks down in a line. So that's doing damage on both strikes. Now, fun little nuances is that there's a bonus effect on that line strike.
Okay.
So if you do this normally, you can see right there, it's kind of that more darker red tinge, and you'll be doing bonus damage. Bonus damage actually scaling off of your protections. Playing around with that, like we said kind of earlier with the different gods. Now the other thing is, like I said, we do expect you to be thinking about your base attacks a little bit more. So if your next attack in your chain is going to be off of Clarent instead of Morning, because you default off of Morning, then you can see the icon actually change on the bottom, and the next time you fire Cruel Strikes, you'll do a more orange tinge. The damage on the strikes themselves is the same, but the bonus effect is different. So the bonus effect is self-healing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Scaling off of protections.
So cool too that you have kind of built a weapon selection system into that ability by just.
That's actually kind of
pairing it with your
complicated.
Very, very nice.
That's
So by
sneakily
default,
complicated.
if you are in-hand canceling, or if you just use this ability by normally, you'll be doing that bonus attack damage. You attack one time with your base attacks, or twice technically, you'll gain that healing. Or if you're in the middle of an attack chain because you're going attack speed, crazy build, you're gonna have to rely a little bit more on your visual sound cues and as well as the ability chain.
Interesting.
Or complete guesswork.
Or complete guess, yeah. You know what? It's a bonus effect. It'll be good for you.
Yeah, it'll be fine. You're hitting them either way.
But both those
Okay.
mechanics, the passive charge and the AO1, have very like high skill ceiling in-hand cancel type implications for really doing that very specific timings of the right order,
big
getting
implications.
the proper effect you need for the proper situation.
Mordred
or to
passive,
interrupt your
shoulder.
opponent. Really like making him a god who can really outplay people in the solo lane.
Yeah.
It's a big goal.
Well, and I love too that like so far everything I've seen is approachable. This isn't. I don't feel like I have to be a super high skill level character to pick up this or to
Right.
Yeah, to pick up this character. But when you start to learn how to play Mordred, there are all these
Pretty
things
cool.
that you can refine.
Pretty
and
cool
the
so
skill
far.
ceiling is just so.
I think the goal definitely there is approachable with a high skill ceiling.
Yeah.
That being said, AJ kind of touched upon it. You know, he was kind of designed to be a more a frontliner. We expected to see him kind of in the solo lane, but I think he absolutely has a kit. And if you want to go aggressive, it wouldn't be far-fetched at all to see him kind of
I'm playing him in the jungle.
or even I've seen him Mordred supports too.
Pun,
Surprisingly enough.
Pun goes,
He's got
I
some
play
utility.
him jungle. It's like me anytime I see a
Speaking
god, I
about
go,
that
I
aggressive
play
nature, let's go
mid.
into his second ability.
I
Blood
play
Rage.
mid.
I was getting ready for it.
I saw you throw them like, you know what? Let's
Spawn's
not
the same way, but with the
Second
jungle.
ability, Blood Rage. Yeah, I wanted something
You have to say it
angsty
like, you have to
there.
say it like that.
Blood Rage. So Mordred's second ability, he kind of exclaims and yells in anger around him, dealing damage to enemies around him. Simple as that, dealing a hybrid of strength and intelligence, because we didn't talk about that, but the second ability does a hybrid of strength and intelligence. The first ability is actually just pure strength scaling.
Okay.
Then he actually, so he does the AoE damage around him. He,
reduces
also
their
gets a buff of
protection
attack
when
speed
you
and
hit
movement
them. That's
speed.
huge.
That being said, while he has this buff active, every basic attack he does in an enemy will actually, and I think this got corrected at some point, so it might be wrong on the patch notes, but you actually reduce the enemy's protections, both physical and magical, and gain that stacking protections yourself. So you gain physical and magical protections whenever you hit enemies with your base attack while the 2 buff is active
That's
and drain
strong.
it from the enemies.
Brought steel.
Very
during
strong.
the duration.
Exactly.
And can I see one more Blood Rage real quick? Because I like Blood Rage on the ground too. There's like an inscription that it leaves on the ground. That is so.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Effects are
Yeah, it like
crazy,
fades
making
out.
this look really awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, all right, I love that. So let's keep going then. We have ability 3. We have Severing Slice up next.
Ability 3 is Severing Slice. A little bit more simple, I think, hopefully. It's a it's a projectile, but it's kind of like it's got a smaller, thinner kind of sweet spot in it. So a little bit different than the normal round
Wow.
projectiles you might see. And again, the effects here kicking ass.
Really,
so
really,
hitting
really,
the projectiles,
really thin.
it just does damage in a slow.
Yeah.
That being said, if you get hit by the center, I don't know how we would show this off. Actually, you actually
Bots orbit.
I tried bots orbit. They don't want to do it.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're scared of Mordred.
Okay,
That's
okay,
so true.
okay.
So if you hit an enemy with the center, an enemy god specifically,
Oh,
you will
they bleed
them.
as they
Bleeding them will actually
move.
make them take more damage over time as they move.
Got
Gross.
So the more they move,
Gross.
the more if they leap, if they do anything with a movement based on it, they will actually suffer increased damage for every like X amount of units that they move.
it. Yeah, got
Nasty,
it.
dude.
Effect,
People
yeah.
gotta try to
Get this
run
beat on
away,
you.
and they're
It's not the
gonna
longest
end up
duration,
killing
but be
themselves from the
careful.
bleed.
Tread
lol.
light.
When you hit somebody you're
Freaking
chasing, like I
raw.
said, if you're bullying somebody in lane and they're trying to back off and you hit them with that as they're running back to tower, their options are stand still and you chase them down, or run away and take more damage. And all right, now I have to back anyway.
Yep. On non-gods, on non-god enemies like just lane minions or jungle buffs,
He's
they will
looking
just
pretty
take
strong,
normal dot damage
folks.
instead.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then talking about the scaling again, the projectile
To be
itself
fair, I
is based
mean, you
and scales
want
off of int,
you want new gods to be
intelligence,
super strong
while
for
the
Smite 2
bleed
because you
or
want
the
to
dot
encourage
scales off
people
of
to
strength.
move away from Smite
Rock
1.
and roll.
to
Yeah,
come play
the
them,
scalings
you
are
know.
really cool. The build diversity.
You don't
for
want
him's
the
gonna
god to be
insane.
weak.
But now we've made it to numero 4. We have the ultimate here. We have Heart Slice. So let's get into both
Heart
of them.
Slash.
Well, like, there were 2 of them. It's Slice, Heart Slash.
But believe me, try to find adjectives like slice and all these different.
You can't use any that's been
Herbs.
used on a god ability before, or item.
Yeah, that has been impressive.
Oh, I mean, this combination wasn't there as well. But Heart Slash.
Heart Slash.
So Heart Slash, accessible at 40 Wrath. You'll deal damage to enemies in front of you in a line. If you hit an enemy god, any enemy god, including multiples, they're rooted and crippled, and you start channeling for a short period of time. During that time, they take constant damage, and you gain healing. And also, if you hit an enemy god, you also get a shield effect for that duration.
That's cool.
So this is a really good way of locking people down. Again, a slight homage to King Arthur's AO4. Honestly, both the ultimate abilities are homages to King Arthur's as well. So he's kind of got the CC effect, but he's really pulling their life force during this time.
Yeah. Again, it's that dark version, you know?
You got to put yourself at risk a little bit, but to lock down someone a little longer.
Yeah.
Yep. You
Interesting.
can cancel this ability early, or if the enemy god themselves is CC immunity or breaks out of that root, they'll end this ability early too.
That's so crazy.
Oh, and you can hit AOE too.
Yeah, we changed that.
Yeah.
we got to
This
amp
was only
this up.
single
This-
target for a while.
Surprise.
The Ares combo.
This was only a single hit on the first enemy god, and then you were like, you know what? We need to amp this
I
up.
see.
Seems
Get
pretty
that
Everything else so busy on
strong.
those items.
Yeah, get the Ares pull, get the Zeus ult, and get that, and that's a team wipe. All right.
Yep. And then finally,
Ult
I'm not
part
joking
2.
this time. Ult Part 2, as we saw a little bit earlier. So yeah, this is Pursue the Weak. At 80 Wrath, Mordred gains access to this ability, and he can just go through the world. He's a hunter, and he's chasing down his prey. He can dash for, I think, about 5 seconds through all wall collision. And we did a lot of new tech. So there are some things to be seen there, and we talked about in the deep dive video, and I want to clarify here. We did change things within the last few weeks to kind of help performance actually with Mordred and with this ultimate ability. So the calling tech is not as perfect as we want it to be. Usually you can see in the post-process area in the center, you would call away all rocks, all materials, and you can see it happening in some places. In some places it's not as perfect as we want it to be. So that's something we are going to be sharpening up. So
Yeah, we
really
recently
wanted-
had to basically redo.
You can see the floor there. That you shouldn't be able
all
to
the stuff that we did for making sure Conquest worked really well. There are some things that like
had some knock-on effect.
knock-on effects on him. We will be cleaning that
You
stuff.
ever been
Yes.
so angry you couldn't see the floor? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's honestly, that's exactly what's happening. So you go through enemy minions, and you stop on the first.
You can hit the jungle camps.
Yep,
too.
you can.
Just dash right through 'em.
You stop on the first enemy god hits, and in that area around him,
Out of range.
yep, you'll hit all enemy gods, launch them up into the air, do heavy strikes, and then knock them back
The
down.
whole duration is
So
forever,
aesthetic, but,
brother.
Like, the animation for that is just
5
incredible.
seconds
Like,
on that
a lot of
ability
this
is a
guy's kit
long
involves
time for how far
throwing
it
his whole
goes,
body
for
into these
sure.
slashes, whether it's through spins or flips, and just seeing all of those play out and how clean and smooth they look is, again, just a testament to the amount of work that's gone into
It's
Trying to get those dual swords.
yeah,
Biggest
right.
swords.
Should have
animation.
brought Parashu and Dreamer.
Oh, I'm doing that.
Oh, I'm doing
And while we're running around this map, we are still seeing some more really nice Conquest art changes that we didn't show before. So I wanted to shout out to those. To the environment team spent so much effort on this patch. So you notice that Pond drove over to the Fire Giant change. There was a lot of changes in the lighting and the floor texture there for better clarity, better contrast.
It'll be. I am
Previously, there was a lot of
curious if he will be
reflections going on that
auto
made it
banned
hard
in
to
ranked
see
because
what
he's
was
the new
going on.
character, or if
Same
you'll have to
changes
waste a
happened
ban
to
on
Gold
him.
Fury side.
We're
And
gonna
Pond was showing
find
off a
out
little
on
bit the grass
Tuesday,
tech. Can you show it
folks.
off just real quick, Pond?
Bright and
When
early
you
in the
bring
morning.
Your targeter up, the grass
See what,
like,
7 a.m.
retracts away.
Yeah.
And that's so you can more clearly see, like, if you had the grass clipping through all that, you might not see the targeter area very clearly.
Exactly.
Wow. So that is a feature we have as well. There's the new Gold Fury floor. It's a lot more clear and
Yeah,
consistent.
and I
than
know
we had
that-
before.
I literally saw someone
Lighting.
working on this floor material, so I know that this is also a work in progress.
They haven't talked
Yeah,
about
they're
the
still
drops
working on it.
campaign at all. I wonder if they're gonna hit
Yeah,
on
there
it.
might be
There's
some
supposed
small
to be a
cleanup issues
cool
still to be done,
Smite 2
but we
drops
made a lot of
campaign,
changes over the last few weeks. And we just
where you
wanted to
can
shout
get a
this out.
skin
So,
for watching the stream.
as we're wrapping up our
supposed to.
in-game segment here with Mordred, took that opportunity. Do we have anything else we want to shout out on Mordred?
Yeah, that's what I was
Just
about
a
to
shout
ask.
out to the teams that worked on him. He really was, as
they're
always, a
super
massive
mega
labor of love. The
size. Do it
animation,
again.
effects, art, audio, programming. Oh my god!
Big ult.
Just shout out to all the teams,
Oh, man.
QA program.
Vamana is absolutely riding right now.
Dude, true. Take a seat, big baby.
Oh, and I know there were probably questions. If you do and the 5 seconds duration ultimate while you're in a wall, it will wait it out until you reach the end.
Yeah, that's what happened when I fell short. Is I actually had timed out in the wall, so the second I left the wall.
Yep.
It'll just let you finish charging out.
Yeah, so I finished, and then
you act right immediately afterwards.
yeah, so you don't get stuck in the wall.
Cool.
Someone will probably find a way to get stuck in the wall. Just go ahead and fill out a bug report for us.
I'm gonna perfectly run in circles and relieve the wall.
Please help us find additional issues, as I'm sure you will, because I know that there's going to be some. I think we had one.
There's some known issues.
I think if you can Mordred ulti another Mordred who's ulting, and if they get hit inside of a wall, funky stuff happens.
That's fine.
That makes sense.
As always, I trust the community will.
As soon as we go live, the Mordred mirror every game, it's gonna happen a lot.
Yeah, something funny is gonna happen.
It's gonna be. It's always fun. We learn about it. We fix it. We laugh about it. All right, so cool. That's it for Mordred. Again, the second brand new god to Smite 2, and something you can look forward to playtesting and inevitably finding ways to both make super powerful and break somehow next
100%.
Tuesday. 100%. Again, we love it. I love some of the bugs we've seen are so funny. But let's keep going. We still have more to talk about. So in the realm of gods, let's talk about what gods are going to be available to players as we get into 24/7, you know.
Yes, we just have some general god planning and function announcements to do now. So first of all is the god unlock status. So throughout the closed alpha phases, so starting with this patch CA1, the 24/7 patch Tuesday, all gods will be available for all players via the free rotation system. So even if, and this will be even if you bought the Founders Pack that gets you all gods forever, that's going to be applied later. Effectively, during this closed alpha, we wanted people to have more access to more gods, so we're going to have those all available, except for the most recent gods that launched in the most recent update. So for this update, everyone will have access to all gods except Mordred and Jing Wei. Mordred and Jing Wei, to play, you'll either need to unlock those via the currencies and systems we're going to talk about in a second, or own a Founders Pack.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the same rules through all of the what we're calling the closed alpha phase, which we don't really have, we haven't shared specific timelines on how that's going to go or when that's going to change, but for the foreseeable future, that's the way it's going to be. And you'll notice when you go to the god page, you look at the gods in the UI.
So if you have the
you'll see
Founders
this
Pack,
little,
it doesn't
like,
matter
clock
because you have
icon
every
on all of them.
character.
That's
So
effectively the early implementation
So
of the
whatever.
free rotation system we'll have in the future. So all of the gods are on free rotation effectively for everyone. So more gods playable to everyone in this time. Those of you who got the Founders Pack, that will still become valuable in the future when that's going to go away. And we're going to have a traditional god unlock system and a traditional 5 god rotation, but you will still have all gods forever.
Yeah, and again, worth noting, all of them were free to play except for the two that'll be the most recently released. So for this one, Jing Wei and Mordred, but that's excluded for Founders Pack. So if you have any level of Founders Pack, you're always playing all the gods as soon as they come out forever. If you nabbed a free code or got free access to the game through some other means that isn't a Founders Pack, those are the people who will, like the two most new gods will be, you know, you'll have to unlock them manually or wait for the next.
This lets everybody play ranked.
Yeah.
Too, because if you didn't have if you didn't have enough gods, you'd have problems, right?
Yeah.
Or if we only had 5 gods on free rotation, you'd have to unlock a bunch before you could even play ranked. So there's a lot of advantages to it. You will be able to unlock gods with our new premium currency diamonds or with 100% legacy gems as well. So if you are in those situations, you'll be able to get those.
Yeah, no problem.
So then the next we have another general god section, right?
Yeah, coming up next. Well, I mean, we have a few things to talk about. Yeah.
So we want to talk more about the god update cycle and the general update cycle.
Yeah,
this is a big announcement.
Okay, this is
one's
good.
huge.
That we kind of
This is good
sandwiched
info.
here in the middle of the show, but we wanted to put it with the god section. So
In the middle of the
big
show?
announcement is that
Brother, it
for
has
the
been
closed
2
alpha
hours.
period, our full update cycle is going to be every 3 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So no more
Okay.
4 weeks and like bonus balance.
Yeah.
We're gonna just do straight up 3-week updates.
Boom.
So
There
it's
it is.
gonna be more. It's going to be
3-week
more
updates.
consistent,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So this is a really big update today. Think of this like a new season launch, right?
for sure.
We've been planning for months for a lot of the features that are in this update today.
Yeah.
We haven't even talked about some of the biggest ones. We had a huge amounts of community feedback, and work that went into this. So think of this like a new season almost.
Yeah.
But our next patches are going to get a little more lean and more fast and more consistent though. So you're not going to see these like big spikes as much until some future big season type things we're planning.
We'll get to that in the
You're going to get these consistent 3-week patches. So
I like a 3-week patch
let's see.
schedule. That's
We've done
nice.
a lot in this patch because we had 5 weeks also as well.
Yeah, and that was one of the areas that was really worth highlighting is that we had 5 weeks to work on a lot of this feedback we've gotten through all the alpha weekends and for all this stuff. And 5 weeks is, you know, it both felt like an eternity for like between putting out new things, but it also passed in the blink of an eye, you know, like so
Oh my
much
God.
work.
Well, for us, it did.
Yeah, especially for y'all.
For y'all, it felt for a long time, probably. For us, it felt like an absolute mad dash.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to bring the 3-week cycle in because one, it makes things a little more regular. Y'all can rely on the fact that every 3 weeks you're gonna have something new to try out. You're gonna see the
for 2
feedback that
hours.
you're giving us acted on in those 3-week cycles more reliably. And again, it also just gives us a chance to continue implementing new things more regularly so that we can get that invaluable feedback from y'all. So
it's okay. It'll be Loyal's job to throw it all up on our YouTube channel
Yeah, I think
for
players
later
are just
tonight.
generally more excited about it. The bonus
if it's not up and
and stuff we released in the middle of an update cycle.
nice
had a hard
time for you on
getting visibility
YouTube,
on it.
blame
Like,
Loyal.
even people who were excited about it, they would forget about it or they wouldn't see the announcements. So now just like a faster update cycle really just feels like a win-win
Pressure's on.
for a lot of players and devs. So one key thing to note about that is gods. We are gonna be shipping 2 gods with every one of these 3-week updates. So that's a god every week and a half.
That's a crazy
Which
schedule.
is a very fast pace. I know there's a lot of discussion about how the god roster size is just a really important factor to a lot of people on their desire to play the game, and we agree. So we are really, you know, using this new update schedule to keep a very fast and consistent god update.
2 gods per 3 weeks is
And
crazy.
we're going to get into this in just a second, but when we talk about Ascension passes, I think this God cycle is so perfect when you see the way Ascension passes look, because theoretically you'll have 3 weeks to feel out the new, the new gods in Smite 2, climb those Ascension passes, start working on God Mastery and stuff, and then by the time that you're kind of getting to the higher levels of that, you have 2 new gods to try it with. So
Crunch
it's
time
a really
indeed
cool cycle.
for
I'm excited to
ever,
explain a little more as we get to
until they
Ascension.
So
get,
we will
back
continue
up
to be
their roster.
heavily player feedback driven in these update cycles.
Oh, yeah.
We have a couple bigger features that we're planning for further out and for specific release launches, but outside of that, we'll be doing a lot of player feedback driven changes. So keep that going just like we were in the previous patches, and I'm excited to do this fast schedule. I think people are going to be just excited to play Smite more frequently, which is going to be really great.
Yeah, it's crazy how much this feels, because I mean I don't want to. I'm a type.
Two
I'm
every
losing
3
my
weeks
thoughts up
feels
here. I'm the
rather
type of person
slow.
that respects
You're
things that I
crazy,
think
bro.
are important, and I have
In
respected
Smite,
this
typically
update
we
show
got a
next
new
Tuesday
god
as, like,
every
the
2
Super
to
Bowl
3
this
months.
year for me, because we're starting 24/7.
2 gods
And when
every
Smite
3 weeks.
Original started 24/7. That was like 10 or more years
It's
ago.
hilarious.
Right? And they flipped the switch, and it has it's become a thing. It's become this beautiful 10-year-long adventure. And so to think that next Tuesday we are kicking off what will hopefully be, and what we all dream will be, another incredible, hopefully 10-year adventure into Smite 2. I can't stress how important that feels to me, and I know a lot of people around here. And the fact that it's only the beginning. Like, we're literally passing what feels like a starting line into infinite growth, hopefully, moving forwards.
One more note on gods before we get into our player behavior stuff and go off script. So we're going to continue to try to add new things to all of the gods from Smite 1 like we demoed today on Jing Wei. We're going to try to keep that up. Some gods will get more than others, right? Like, not all gods are created equally. A lot of the gods we're focused on designing first and foremost are already very successful gods, so those don't always feel like they need as much change, whereas when we get to some of the more controversial gods down the road, there might be more changes, right?
I wonder who you could be mentioning.
We're all sweating.
It's happened to all 3 of us. Have our own
your guess
our
in
own
chat
demons
now.
with that sentence. But that's just something to keep in mind. We're always wanting to keep adding more. And even though we're doing this schedule of fast release cadence, that does not affect their total development time. We are staggering all of these gods many, many months in advance, and we have more designers than ever and more dev team dedicated to that process. So each god is still getting a full 6-month arc. We're just staggering many, many, many of them back to back and splitting the load of designing gods across me, Pawn, Clumsy, Aggro, Ro, Lermy. We have Sam and Forrest that are joining the team, and Austin also supporting on that. So we have more god designers than we've ever had.
Yeah,
And the new engine enables us all to be in the tools working on those gods consistently.
Yeah.
So every god is going to get new features. players, some more than others. Every god is going to get the love and time it deserves, and every god is going to get the Pon Polish Pass, just in case we miss anything. And every god is going to get that player feedback driven Polish Pass as well.
Yeah.
So,
and I think it's worth noting there too that the 3-week cycle did not come about randomly because we thought, oh, this will be nice. Like AJ said, this was something where we looked at what are we able to do, like what's the time frame that makes the most sense for us to still deliver these amazing fully flushed out things. And so it was ton of thought went into this. It wasn't just like, yeah, 3 weeks sounds good. It was
you hope that
2-3 months
two
of
gods
meetings
every
and
3 weeks
decision making
isn't too
and
ambitious.
overviewing the process
It
and refining
sounds
the
like
process
they've
and then
got
saying,
the
this is gonna be good.
pipeline
So
pretty
okay,
well
we can move
set
on
up
to the next
at
section.
this
Thank you,
point,
everyone.
you
We
know,
still have
which
new
is
stuff
the
to talk
important
about.
part.
So this section we're calling UI/improvements, and we're starting
You
with
know?
some of our player behavior features that'll be live with 24/7.
yeah, so this is just kind of like a general announcement, which a lot of people have been asking about. So obviously, player behavior and keeping everybody happy and having keep sportsmanlike contact in the game. It's an important factor for us. So we have some initial features in the game ready to go for that, and then obviously this is going to be a priority for us, and we're going to keep growing it over time. So report player is an option in Smite 2. You can access this through the scorecard, the tab screen, at any time during the game. So now you can report people anytime you want during a match.
Yeah,
in Smite 2, you can just pull this up, hit report right now, so you don't forget at the end of the match. A lot of people sometimes forget
a lot of
that type of thing. So if something happens,
he's talking about
pull
me.
it up
I
and do a
forget at
report
the end
right
of the
now.
match all the time.
However, we do not have some of these out of game front end stuff, so you won't be able to report players once you leave the match. So just if you see something, report it right away.
Yeah, drop it right away.
As far as the general policy towards reporting, it's all the same as it has been really in Smite 1. And actually, we've kind of unified this, and we've done announcements over the years about unifying this across all high-risk games. So if you see AFKing or not playing the game or intentionally trying to not be AFK but clearly not playing the game, those types of things, report those. Any sort of hacking of any sort, report those. Any sort of slurs or toxic chat, report those, right? Our policies are generally the same towards that. Those things will be reviewed as soon as possible, and punishments will be handed out as needed. The other features we have in the game already for you
report a name
is mute
earlier
options.
today.
So you can
those
click
that
the
were
player's
here this
name
morning,
in the lobby or
it
during
was
the game to access the various mute options. You can mute
the
their voice chat,
most-
you can mute their VGS,
the
you can mute their
most
pings, or
slur
you can
name
mute
I've
all of
ever
it.
seen in Smite.
Nice.
I don't even think we
Ever.
have those specific of mutes in Smite 1, so you can now mute those various different
11-year
things.
record.
We also have deserter penalty. So if you dodge a lobby or quit a game,
Fun fact,
you will
that
get a
player
deserter
is
penalty
banned,
and
by
not
the
be able
way.
to
I
kill.
got the official okay from
So all just
Isaiah
super good
that he
stuff
took
to
care
have,
of
like you said, to
it.
maintain that level of player sportsmanship that we're looking for. Because, Smite is, at its core, it's a game. And even if it's a competitive game, the point is to have fun. So we really promote the players that are there to do that. And,
What's up, Mira?
slap on the wrist for those of you who don't. No troublemakers. So let's keep moving. We have additional things to talk about outside of player behavior. We have some updates, some accolade updates is what this is called.
Yep, the accolade system. So that's the big pop-ups that happen on the top of your screen when you do an
Accolades.
achievement or kill a god. We've updated the sound effects for killing a god, so that feels more impactful. We've added the announcer voiceover for an enemy has been slain and all of the similar lines.
Good.
Enemy has been, an ally has been slain. You've been slain. You've slain. Enemies, whatever.
Yeah.
All of those versions. Those will only play if the kill does not have a multi-kill or a killing spree. That'll get played instead.
Okay.
We've also added voice lines for minions have spawned, your tower is under attack, Phoenix is under attack, Titan is under attack. And we have also added the gold particle effects bursts for killing minions, killing gods, and killing objectives, where if you kill a god, the gold, like in Smite 1, there'll be a gold explosion at the place of their body, and the gold particle effects and audio effects that fly back to you.
Yeah.
That combining with the accolades and the audio, further solidifying that you've killed a god successfully, really making it feel good and really improving the combat clarity.
Yeah, a lot of good player feedback for that.
Do we have capacity to go in game, Pon? Are you in a match right now?
I am in a match right now.
So the next two, we're going to go to the game. We can show Pon if you can toggle onto the item short description mode in the item store.
How do I
You have to
do
go to the settings.
Live settings.
Yeah.
Also played around with this
UI,
thing,
I believe.
is
So then so you have a variety of. We're going to talk about more settings, but for now, the item store grid detail level, set that to not minimal, descriptive. There you go. So now you can save and hit I. Short description mode is back. This was like the default, what people are used to from Smite 1. So you can toggle this mode back on. It shows the same number of items as you can before. You'd also see we added some dividers there when you're just scrolling through. So you can see hybrid items, offensive items, defensive items, those types of things. So you get a little more clarity when you're scrolling through the shop. And every item has a short description now. So if you don't want to read the whole stats, read the whole passive, this is a quick way to just get at a glance what does the item do.
Nice. And moving past that, the return of another beautiful feature, the K screen or slash ability screen, and its new function.
Yeah, so this screen is now going to work by pressing Control by default.
Yep.
That's the control screen.
Mordred.
They brought back the K screen as a control screen.
Yeah.
They brought
this
back
is the screen that functioned
they
like the
brought
K
the
screen,
predecessor system
functions
into
like the K
it, which
screen from
is much
Smite
better.
1. So
It doesn't take up your whole
a
screen.
lot of exciting things here. First of all, Mordred is one of the wordier gods, but we rewrote every god description in the game from the alpha weekends for better clarity, better spacing, and we want to have short descriptions that are clear and to the point.
Yeah.
So we rewrote everything to fit in this screen for everyone, except for Wrath of the Forsaken. It was like the only one we just barely didn't get fitting in time.
Yeah.
So that's all been rewritten. You can now press this screen at any time to read your ability short descriptions, see your cooldown and mana costs, etc. You can also use this ability to level up. Which if you want to switch class and set yourself to like not level 1 but some level in like the middle, like level 5 or 10.
Yeah.
And put a point in one of your items or one of your abilities already by pressing button 1 while you're pressing control.
Sure, I see what
now you have another point.
Ooh.
You can see at a glance so put a point in 2, 3, 4. And
Good
now you can,
quality
at
of
a glance, if you're trying to decide
Very
which one do I want to rank
nice.
up next, you can see, okay, which one gets the biggest damage boost. Okay, 50 to 90, 55 to 80, 55 to 85. Okay, I'm going to go 50 to 90 because that's the biggest just number, right? Boom. So you can do that type of stuff.
Very nice.
Really nice. Shows how much the cooldown goes down and the mana cost goes down. Shows how much the damage
Very
goes
good,
up.
very
Shows
good
a lot of the
quality
various
of life.
variables. Anything that scales per rank should populate in that section.
Cool.
Yeah, and very cool to see that you can use it to level up as well, and that it doesn't block out the entire screen.
And this is especially important for console players because many console players would use a sort of D-pad and then press the button to rank up as opposed to the double
Brad took
button
both
presses.
of those from League of
And
Legends.
this is the method that you will do that, and it'll
Those
be
are
the
all
exact
taken
same
from League of
buttons as it
Legends.
was
Those aren't
on
taken
Smite
from
1.
Brad. You
Super
can't take
awesome.
something
Yeah.
you didn't create.
Yeah, we're always thinking of both our PC and console homies.
Very much so.
Never a player forgotten. So now we talked about this a second ago, but we have some more setting changes beyond just the being able to change the description mode for the item store.
We do. We now have. We wanted to actually correct ourselves from the Inside Show.
Hey.
Individual god casting settings are saved per god. So you go to the gameplay section
Oh,
and you can
nice.
set. And if you change this off a use global setting to instant cast, it will save that instant cast for only the god you're currently playing. So you can set Mordred ability 1 to instant cast, and they will not affect
Cool.
when you load into this setting menu on a different god. You will have different settings here, all defaulted back to global until you change them.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we also have color blindness modes, which is another one I think that's in usability.
Cool.
So we have color correction. So you can now toggle
Nice.
through these. It should work. You can just turn it on right now to get it'll put a slightly different color tone to the whole. This is kind of like the more traditional blue-yellow one that was kind of similar to Smite.
And the buffs from
Smite
Gold?
1, but
Nope.
it applies to
Once
everything
again, League
in the
of
game.
Legends.
Yeah.
Particle effects, the
Nope.
environment. So Smite
They
1
took
was
it
very
from
limited.
League.
It only really affected UI.
None of those
I
are
think.
Pred
That's
unique.
it. This one affects everything. So this is a pretty cool feature that Unreal Engine grants us. And, this is just the start of these type of features, too.
Yeah, just the beginning of various usability things, but I know we're working on a lot of those. Cool to see one already in for closed alpha, though. Super excited about that. And to move beyond that, and this correlates with some of the settings, but I know that there's been a lot of work put in for performance improvements kind of across the board. So kind of explain some of those to me.
That's right. So, we know this is just kind of a given, but we wanted to shout it out anyway. The game runs better than it did in
The
alpha
game
weekends.
runs better.
We,
Good.
We really just put
Good.
a lot of dedicated programming work and artwork into getting our FPS up from the alpha weekends to this patch. Like, we knew this was something important. This is something we were planning for all along.
Of course.
The alpha weekends were just earlier builds of the game, and for this was the time that we really put in a huge sprint to really improve that. So you'll notice a few changes to your graphics settings in the setting menu. Some things might be reset to defaults and certain things for you. Also, we had when we were talking about the art style changes, depending on your settings, we had very inconsistent appearance of the game, depending on different settings. A lot of that stuff has been fixed. Like one thing, if you put on low settings, just
so
made the
this is-
whole game
this
way
is low.
brighter.
This is low now? Oh, hell yeah.
Wow.
That is so very different than what it was like.
Hey,
3
Yeah,
Yeah.
but in alpha weekends, if you set something to all low, it would make the whole game like way bright. And so obviously people were complaining about maybe our art style because it just didn't look intended at all.
Yeah.
We fixed a lot of that. We've a lot of these settings have had behind the scenes programming work done to make them more impactful. So like specifically we called out earlier particle effects. When you turn down the particle effects quality detail, you actually do see a lot changes in the particle effects that's going to give you better FPS.
Yeah.
So a lot of dedicated work from the environment team, programming teams, and particle effects teams to make sure, number one, the game's just baseline performance is better, and number two, you have more power to control your performance as you see fit based on what graphics settings you
And the level of effort, like for example, we were looking at traces every single day, and Jordan pinged design saying, "Hey, why is Mystical Mail taking 3 FPS off the game?" Well, our emitter that we design tempted had 1,000 emitters, so we did not escape anyone's eye either.
Yeah, a lot of designer-made temp effects were causing performance issues as well. So we
lots of focus on it.
Cleaned up all those. Just gameplay logic, designer coded blueprinting. Blueprints, which is essentially code scripting, was improved for performance. Just a lot of push stuff for performance.
But yeah, like I said, it was with his design team, program team, like every team had parts that could be made better, and that's something that we wanted to do and we made sure to do alongside all the other stuff that needed to just get done for this patch too.
Yeah.
And honestly, massive kudos to the team, because performance is not something that we take lightly, but we also need to do that alongside making the game better and adding more.
Yeah, and it was cool that we were finally able to hit that, because for the longest time it was make this game feel like Smite, which we've done pretty well. Obviously there's always still work to do, and we're still working hard, but we got that. And then it was make it look more like a Smite game, make it run like a well-made game, and we're able to start checking more of those boxes as we've been able to put more time in, and we're still working on those things. So it's been inspiring to watch.
All right, last few things. We got to keep moving.
Let's keep moving.
Voice chat is in, and push to talk is on by default. So push to talk on by default means that console players will need to do some configuration to use it, I believe, because not all configuration
But at least
setups
it's
will
not
have a default
open mic
push-to-talk
by
button. You'll
default.
either need
Holy,
to change that to open
that's great.
talk, or you'll need to set a button.
Yeah,
but voice chat is active. That will work, I believe, in all parts of the game.
Awesome.
Does that work in the very front end too? It definitely works in the lobby. So to work in the lobby, the God selection screen with your party and any other players that happen to be on your team in that screen, and it works during the game.
Nice.
And yeah, we will continue to expand voice chat features as we go forward. But it's ready here, and it's got push to talk by default, so you won't get blown out by any accidental audio, which was happening a lot when it was just defaulting to open chat.
Communication is key.
Yeah.
And then the last little thing here looks like just a pass to visual effects opacity and quality, which I think we kind of talked
text
about.
chat will not be in the
edition,
game.
Very specific.
Not just the performance issue. We now have 3 different particle effects sliders. So you can actually change the opacity on ally, enemy, or self particle effects. So if you want to effectively turn off they're in video, at the bottom. If you want to turn off your self particle effects, you can slide that slider very low down, and your particle effects emitting from your god, we don't let you turn them off, but they become very faint. So I guess maybe the 2.
Whoa, it's a cool action. I barely used that.
Would use this really well.
It was added
Use your blood ring.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Wow.
if you really want to only see ally stuff, you can hone in on that and keep enemies at 100 and put allies and self lower, or any combination of it. It's just really powerful control. Everything's gonna be up at 100 by default. But if you're like pro players who like to turn everything down, people with specific sensitivities towards particle effects, these are like, so you can just set it everything at 50, and the whole game's just like a little less intense,
Yeah.
if you need to. But
What a cool.
everything's designed to feel impactful and clear and not noisy at 100.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of value to a variety of player types who might want to use that setting.
Yeah, just giving the player the control over that.
I'm going to turn allies and enemies to like 0 and just be the protagonist of my own game.
Dude, true. They're all just swinging swords.
That feels like the least effective way to set this up for winning,
I'm just
games.
memeing.
It's the most aesthetic way.
Oh, why did that chalk alt hit me? That was unfair.
I'm gonna turn
Come
all the
go
HUD off.
complain on
Just
Reddit about it. Oh wait, my enemy particle effects were set to 10.
Oh god, that's something
Someone probably will do that.
We're gonna need that on the
Somebody
QA forums.
probably
Every time
will
someone
do that.
says, I can't tell I was hit by this, we'll have to be like, what's your particle effects?
Yeah.
That's what you set to.
Dude, I'm ready for the challenge run. Like, no enemy particle effect climb to deity. There we go.
Okay, we have, oh my god, we have 2 more big sections to
Yeah,
show.
so let's
okay,
keep
so
moving.
let's
So-
see the home screen.
Yeah, so now we're going into the home screen. We're stepping out of the end game, and we're looking at what Smite looks like from the home screen.
So as some of you might remember, the Alpha Weekend home screen looked very temp, and that's because it was.
Let me make
Because it was.
Let me make sure there's nothing on here That's gonna be bad.
That's true. That would
Production
be
hold off for a second.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you about this pawn. You maybe could switch to PTS for it if there's anything sketchy.
Well, if you want me to go to the
We are gonna have to go through gods.
Okay, well then yes, I will need to go to PTS. Let me
Okay.
go.
Well, we'll talk about the next few things.
There's
I think
a
we have some
massive
screenshots to show, so we can
spoiler
come back to this, but we're going
in
to
the
show the
gods
updated
list
home
because
screen
I've
art
seen
and
it.
design.
Yeah.
It's not finished yet, but it's definitely much better than the alpha.
Can't
we've been
show
for,
that
and it looks really
screen.
good. It's representative
see it
of
in
what
a
we
second.
want. We're going to talk about card art returning.
Oh yeah, and that's a big point. That's a point we've talked about. We just had a video go out about it recently. Y'all talked about it last time, but it's such an important piece of community feedback. We were happy we could action on. Card art's
That I will not
So,
spoil for you.
a couple
because
notes
that
about
I
card
would
art
get in
is just
trouble
that
for.
we got the feedback about the renders. People weren't really feeling them, so we are bringing back illustrated card art. Not everyone's going to have theirs ready for this update.
Yeah.
There's still going to be a lot of renders in the game. There's going to be a few gods that have their, like gods like Hecate and Mordred. We don't have any previous card art to work off of.
brand new.
Gods from Smite 1 will reference their Smite 1 card art, but we'll have some touch-ups being done.
Yeah.
We're trying not to change them too heavily. Some of the earlier versions we already did, we showed. People felt like we overdid that, so we're already doing some revisions on like Jing Wei to bring it back somewhere more in the middle. People were really happy with a couple of the other ones we did, like Loki.
Yeah, Loki was a good.
There was I think we have a before and after we can show.
Yeah, for Loki.
So we can show the updates for that.
And once we're done with this, we can also I have the home screen.
Nice.
And we've already gotten a lot more feedback about just the first card arts we have in Smite 2. The size of card arts in the UI is a little different, so we have to adjust for that. We have gods like Ymir and Sol are cropped in a little bit. We're going to be looking about cropping them back out, giving them a little bit more space. So there's going to be more changes to that coming forward in the future. But TLDR, all gods in Smite 2 will have true hand-painted illustrated card arts for their loading screens and selection screens. So here is old Smite 1 Loki. He's purple for some reason. No disrespect to the original artist. Like, we were very stylized and cartoony back then.
Yeah.
We stylized things up a lot, and we took a lot of artistic liberties.
Yeah, artistic direction changes dramatically over 10 years.
Yeah, so then in Smite 2, we've cleaned this up to look a lot more like what Loki actually looks like, color corrected it a little bit for the lighting, made him, sharpened things up. So
Yeah, just
expect this level of change with each card art.
very cool. So again, I think you said that we
Home screen time.
check in. So yeah, let's
we're
look at
good.
the home
And
screen.
then we're going to pretty much live in game looking at the home screen for the rest of this patch show.
Rest of my life starting Tuesday.
Rest of my life. Starting Tuesday.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
This is so cool.
It's a lot cleaner, right? We had a very boilerplate like functional one. It was very functional. That was important, was function. But now we're actually trying to get some style and design in here. So you've seen multiple updates to the art, the fonts, the sizing, the spacing of a lot of things. We've got this animated MoGraph Hecate in the background.
Is there going to be a pom-pom video at the beginning of this?
There is no longer a Pon video. It has been removed.
Was it intentional that the Morgan is the background for the reported bug?
Probably.
That's
Someone definitely
hilarious.
did that on
Probably.
purpose. It has to be.
Probably.
That's so funny.
So yeah, this looks really nice, and we're going to talk about a few things on the screen while we're here. We're going to talk about currency.
Yeah, let's talk about what the currency system is going to look like for Smite 2.
So Pon doesn't have any, or Big Mac Boy doesn't have any.
Big
Not
McAvoy.
my account.
Definitely.
Maybe we should have logged
Chat
into a different
absolutely
account for
picked
this.
up
but-
on it.
So you can see the blue diamonds up there. Those are diamonds. That's going to be the new premium currency for Smite 2. And you also will see your legacy gems, green Smite 1 gems up there at the same time. Those are going to be the only two currencies in Smite for the closed alpha phase.
Yeah, and something really important. So this is a shout out. We've talked about legacy gems a lot, right? And legacy gems are something that you get if you are a former Smite player who is moving into Smite 2. It's kind of our gift to you for stepping over from Smite 1 into Smite 2. It's all of the gems you've ever spent returned as legacy gems, or double if you buy a certain.
Mac Boy.
It's hard. Big Mac Boy.
Distracting me. But double if you buy certain founders packs, right? But to just be super clear about what legacy gems
What's up,
do,
Cat?
they are basically just a tremendous pile of 50% off coupons, or for some things 100% off coupons that lets you buy things in games. So you'll see this in a little bit. Well, I guess we don't have any legacy gems on this account, so you won't see it, but as you
It
get
will
into
only
this-
present the option to you in the purchase flow if you own legacy gems.
yeah, and what
Yeah, so we can't demo it on this test account.
Yeah, but so say you have diamonds and legacy gems and you want to buy an Ascension Pass, which we'll be looking at here shortly. If you just have diamonds, it'll show you the full price. You buy it with diamonds, rock and roll. If you have legacy gems as well, you will see two different currencies displayed on the buy this. You'll see the diamond price and the legacy gem price, because it's saying, hey, you have legacy gems, you can pay for half of it with legacy gems and half of it for diamonds. So again, it's just a 50% off coupon for most things. There will be a few things that you can't use legacy gems on, but there will also be a few things that you can use. You can buy 100% with legacy gems. So we'll get more into that as we continue on into the future, but just an important note that legacy gems are going to be, for those of you who are coming over and, you know, spent a lot of time and money in Smite 1, you're really going to be getting
so
some value
hungry,
out of those
Hi-Res.
as we
This
push
is
forward
an
in the
exciting
future of
patch,
Smite.
though, and I will
So
keep
then we
watching, but I
have,
do need Taco Bell.
Ways to get free diamonds.
That's important.
Which it is a premium currency, but as we are in Smite tradition, we want to make it accessible to players. You will have ways to do that. So, Pawn, if you want to navigate to the player profile, I think you can get a glimpse at the daily login system there. Boom. Daily logins.
Looks like a lot of diamonds.
So you can get 225 diamonds per week for free.
That's a lot.
Through the daily oh no, sorry, 100 diamonds. 225 is from the masteries. My bad.
We'll get there.
100 diamonds per week for the 7 days across the daily logins, and your progress never resets. If you miss a day, don't feel bad. You'll still progress to the next day to get that bigger. So 100 diamonds every 7 days. Then what we're going to show soon when we go to the God Ascension and Mastery tracks, you'll be able to get 225 diamonds for free from leveling up a God from Mastery level 1 to Mastery level 10, and 225 diamonds paid back to you for mastering a God through the Ascension levels, from mastering it to level 1 to level 10.
Yeah, well, I mean, this seems like a good time to go and look at the Ascension passes / Mastery tracks. So let's check those out.
Every God will have one. I forgot who we said we wanted to demo. Maybe...
Yeah, we just got to choose
Hades?
Sure, let's do Hades.
He has a really funny emote, so we'll get there. So when you get to the God screen, you'll default at the abilities, but you now see we'll have added Mastery and Loadout.
Ooh, we do have some
looks
legacy.
like I got gems.
Oh, someone gives...
Yeah, KD is just working on
I've
it.
got
He
gems.
literally is right now.
What a saint.
Big Mac Boy is earning money.
King of Doom is the saint, or whoever else helped. Mastery and Loadout, you also see
got
here,
that.
and the ability to unlock the God if you don't. So let's look at the Mastery. Here's the path that every God is going to have this. Oh, and they gave us...
And wow,
27
Oh my god.
I think 2.7 mil.
This is what it feels like to be a dev.
Yeah.
You got that
That's
from
a
my live
lot of
account, right?
diamonds. Damn.
Right now, please.
He's rich.
So
After the stream, we'll talk.
first of all,
He's
this
rich.
is where you can get all the stuff for leveling up your mastery. So play Hades in PvP or AI matches, earn worshippers, and level up your mastery and earn these things as you go.
Yeah.
So you'll see the ones that are labeled free, you get just as you level up the God. Don't have to do anything else.
Yeah,
and then
the game.
all the things that are gold with the lock, you have to unlock the Ascension Pass to get all of those rewards. Things I'm supposed to call out here is if you have the Deluxe or Ultimate Passes, you will get the first 11 Gods Ascension Pass default automatically unlocked, or all 23 if you have the Ultimate Pass.
Yeah, Ultimate Edition gets all
R.I.P.
so good. And again, worth noting that, like, on the free pass, you're getting a lot of cool stuff. You're getting
Underworld King,
the
Big
weight
Mac
emote,
boy.
the clappy emote. You're getting free diamonds, and you're getting, you know, some of the stuff we'll talk about in a second, the new tracker systems and stuff.
We
but-
went through every reward on the Inside Show, so I want to be careful.
It's
to
a
not
battle
take too much
pass
time
for
doing
every
it again,
God.
But yeah,
Yes.
let's just go through the rewards real quick from the start. So Ascension, if you unlock Ascension, you immediately get Shadow Skin. If we can, let's see it. Ooh, we love it. Okay. You get the click it. You get the Light Heals tracker. Tracks how much Hades has healed allied gods with the Devour Souls consuming blight. You get a Mastery emote. This will be a new VGS input that you'll always be able to use in addition to other emotes they'll show. And this will
The
change depending
Ascension
on what your current
passes
mastery
are
level is.
freaking
your
sick.
current mastery level.
And you'll get a permanent 25%
They
worship
are
boost for
by
this god
far
only
the
forever.
best
So then,
price
level
to
1,
cosmetic
clap,
ratio in the
clap,
history
clap
of
emote
Smite,
plus
and it's
10
not even
diamonds.
close.
Level 2,
Not even
Objective
close.
Destroyed
What's up, Oxford?
tracker.
So,
Yep.
Level
if you don't want to
3,
spend any money on
got
Smite,
assist
you
tracker plus
obviously
20
don't have
diamonds.
to, and you
Level
still get a bunch of
4,
stuff for free for getting mastery
Agonized
levels.
God. So
but
total time gods have been spent stuck in the Pillar of Agony.
if
so
you're
good.
a legacy
Tracker.
gem player, you
Level
literally
5,
get them for
a
free
free skin,
by getting the
Onyx
characters
skin.
to rank
Kind of
10.
our new
Literally
default
free.
mastery skins.
Yeah.
Yeah. And 30 gems. Or if you have the Ascension, you also get the new Opal skin, a completely new recolor that everyone has. Generally, every god follows the same formula. They get the same things at the same levels.
Yeah.
Level 6.
Outside
our
of your
new
very
hilarious
first one,
global emotes.
they would all be
So
free,
meaty. Our
technically.
team has
Yeah.
gone nuts with
And our global emotes have a variety
So.
of changes now. They have
Basically, if
friendly
you spend,
versus, or
like,
they have self versus everyone
$10
else
bucks,
So
you
if
can
when
technically
fire a
get
global
every
emote,
single
everyone
Ascension
else will
pass
see
as
the
long as you have
large one up
legacy
in the
gems.
air. But when you use it, it'll kind of appear over your shoulder behind your god, so you can see it a lot more clear on the frame. Because most of the time you couldn't see it.
Yeah.
It works really good for content and just for memeing, for if you're a streamer. It's really fun.
It's super cool.
Yeah, and every god has a new one of those. Go check them out. They're hilarious. Level 7 is Wave plus 40 gems. Level 8 is a title related to your god.
The Underworld King, Big Back Boy.
Big Back Boy is going to be a meme forever. Rank level 9, God Kill Tracker. God stats return to loading frames. By the way, when we say trackers, you display those on the on your loading screen, kind of like they're demoed here.
Yep.
So you can now customize your loading frame with these kind of standard kills, assists, objectives tracker, or your God-specific special
I don't
trackers.
need to hear that feedback anymore.
And finally, we can stop hearing God stats on loading frames.
Yeah, we did
And
it.
then finally, at level 10, you will unlock for free this badge that you can show off that you hit a level 10 Mastery on a God, a big spike of diamonds. And for the Ascension Pass, you'll get the Radiant skin, the big chunk of diamonds all at once, and our new card effects, we're calling them.
Card effects are dope.
Yeah, and there's a different one of those for each different god you get to rank 10, and all of them are so cool. Ares is probably one of my favorite, just off rip. It is like, we showed it off in the Dev Insight, I believe. It's chains, it's incredible.
Oh my gosh,
But
I love that.
This is a really cool system for y'all to go and look at for yourselves. Starting next Tuesday, every single one of the gods has an Ascension Pass that follows this general layout. You get a ton of incredible rewards, a ton of free diamonds, so premium currency, and then, as it says there at the very end, once you've run the gauntlet, you have all the rewards, you will continue earning mastery stars forever
TLDR,
after you
play
complete this
Smite,
gauntlet.
get
Do you want a
diamonds
demo
for
actually
free.
buying this?
Yes, go for it. Buy that. I don't think we're going to get some things. Yeah, cool.
So
0 Blight Heals, but you'll get more.
Yeah, you get all the.
We actually are going to start trackers. Like, we have a lot of details about the individual cosmetics in the patch notes. I'm not going to go over all of them today, but we have skins, trackers, badges, card effects, animation emotes, mastery emotes, global emotes, titles. So those are kind of the cosmetic types, and all of their specific rules are labeled in the patch notes. I think for today, we'll just go to loadout next.
Yeah, let's check out the loadout.
So cool thing about Smite 2 is we now have god-specific loadouts. So many of the cosmetics, in fact, most of them will be customized at a god level. So your Hades card by default will look completely different, customized completely different than your Anubis card.
Yeah.
You can pick completely different trackers, completely different effects, completely different badges, whatever. So first you can check skins. Next up, we have badges. I don't think we have many unlocked, so it'll be hard to demo them, but you can see the way they are placed on the bottom of your badge. You can preview your whole card.
Yeah.
If we had these unlocked, you would be able to click equip, and then you'd be able to choose the position, and you can choose up to 3 badges across the bottom of your
So
left,
much
right,
more
and middle.
customization.
Right.
in Smite
And then you
2,
have
bro.
trackers. Those
It is
display just
super
above
sick.
the badges,
It's
and you can
super
have up to
sick.
2 trackers. So
Way
here we're using, we
more
have the Blight Seals. We
customization.
can confirm it. We can place it. There's maybe still some bugs on the locking in and previewing these things, but you can set up a fully functional card art. And then finally, we have the card effects, and I think we let you preview all of these even if you don't own them.
Yeah.
You can
They're
kind of
so
each one of these are designed to be inspired by a specific god, but you can equip these on any god.
Yeah.
These are not god like most of our cosmetics, although they're unlocked from a god track and they're inspired by the design of a god, they're fully mixed and matchable. So
Yeah.
if you want to set up your Hades with
Yeah,
full,
I want this one on Hades.
if you want to set up full kawaii Jing Wei stuff on your Hades card, go for it. Go for it. Please do. And then
going
you can
through the
pick
font. I
a
haven't seen
cutesy
these.
Hades skin
Awesome.
that you like. You even pick a skin. The only main thing I'll add is the card art, the character. That'll always
that
change
one
to
goes over
whatever
the card.
god or skin you're
God
playing.
and skin you're using.
But everything else is fully customizable and will
There's the
save
Ares
per
one.
god. Oh, the Ares one is dope.
Those chains are so cool.
Yeah, and these are really cool.
Guessing.
Yeah, so absolutely
Fenrir, I
incredible.
think?
Established.
These are awesome.
Yeah, that makes sense. Established, again, through each god. It's just a really cool way to be individual and to show off, like, this is my style. And again, trackers are something that we've gotten a lot of feedback about in the past.
Stats on loading frames are
Stats
back.
on loading.
And now we have really cool
loading frames.
stats that can actually be meaningful and fun instead of just like the.
I have unlocked everything.
Someone did it
Oh,
again. Yeah,
KD.
let's do it.
Man, you are so good at this game.
So, and these are also previewing all of the Divine Legacy rewards that you'll be able to get. If you had Tier 5
Thank you, KD.
Hades, you can equip that Blight Crow Hades badge now.
Yeah.
And the only way to get those badges are to have that item in Smite 1.
Yeah.
So you'll see a variety of Smite 1 beta tester. I think that's the console version. There's a variety of the There's a variety of Divine
they just
Legacy
open it up
achievements. They
now.
all
You gotta
grant
wait
these
until
badges here.
Tuesday.
I love the Sobek
We've got to
one just 'cause
suffer
I'm
through
like
2 more
Sobek
days
for
of
the
Smite
top.
1.
one on
2 more
there.
stream
Oh,
days.
you're a boomer. You're a Smite boomer card
Absolutely.
set
Oh,
up. This
Here's
is
my convention call. There we
2014.
go.
convention college.
This is peak what mine's
Yep.
gonna be.
Yeah.
There you see. I love it. The
Smite way.
matching thematic border with the god, and then I'm a boomer badges.
Wow.
Light heels.
The boomer
Put
badges.
a title on. Put a title on.
Let's see.
Oh, title. You have to go to player. Here. So player. So let's go back to the player profile. Let's do the last 3 cosmetics. So the ones that are account wide are you pick a badge. Any badge you've unlocked can be served as an avatar.
Oh,
Cool.
Which you will display as in your party menu and the UI and stuff like that. So pawn whichever.
Yeah,
one you-
definitely.
Beta tester again.
Yeah, continuing with beta tester.
Equip it, and you'll see at the top right, it became that. And if you back out, you'll see your profile now shows it there.
That's really cool.
And the home screen will show it too. And then you also have your titles. Titles are applied to all gods. So when you pick your title, Executioner, it's kind of your title. It's like, it's not Executioner Hades, it's Executioner Big Mac
I'm
Boy.
definitely a definitely a
Somali.
Sommelier Big Mac boy.
Notes of fruits in
Big
this
Mac.
one. Yeah, and then finally we have the global emotes. These are not god specific either. These are just
What's up, Sam?
we have
Now we get to see all of them.
these won't these all animate in game. You can't see the full animation preview here, but you
Gotcha.
can quickly preview all of them here, even if you haven't.
Oh,
They're so good.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. All right. We can't look at them all. We got to save something for people to go and look at. So from here, I guess it seems like you were given most everything in the game. So do we want to get right into a couple of the skins people can look forward to from here? We can probably just go straight to them in game here. So first up we have, and this is exciting, our very first brand new Smite 2 skin. So exclusive, brand new to Smite 2 skin because it's Hecate. It's Lunar Hex Hecate. So you can go into the loadout area and
There it is.
we have Witch Hecate.
Nice.
You
Wow.
can equip it, and you
Yeah.
can go to abilities. Did we get rid of the practice button here? Did not have a mode.
Loadout, yeah,
It's
it'll
here.
have to be here.
And to
Yeah.
practice, I wonder if it'll come in with the skin or not.
I would.
No,
No,
default skin.
unfortunately.
Okay, practice mode is still default skins. I just was mostly curious. Okay, Pawn, you're gonna have to switch modes and get us in the game with the
Yeah,
Lunar
so we
Hex
can check
skin, though.
this. Yeah, we're gonna look at the skin in game, so we'll get there in a sec. But yeah,
Surrender trick practice.
Yeah, it was too tough.
Lost jungle practice. I didn't know.
I
it
didn't
was
know you
possible.
could do that.
It's just called practice now, by the way. We dropped the jungle.
Oh,
I guess that makes sense a little bit, huh?
It's not really a jungle.
too
It was
tough.
called that from like
It's too hard.
archaic Smite 1.
Yeah.
Like really old Smite 1 lore of why it was even called that in the
Yeah.
first place, right?
It's
So
more Smite boomer knowledge. So
Now the real question is, do I have GM cheats on this account?
did you
80
switch?
quick.
Oh, you switched accounts, so you won't be
He's
able
a Big Mac
to
boy.
switch
He's
class,
not
or we'll have to log out to pick the other skin.
Yeah.
Katie, we need you. You should. Okay, Katie says, but yeah.
see, Katie's got us taken care of. So again, super exciting though
Giving
because
a
this
demo
is,
here of the lobby pick if just people.
Oh,
haven't seen it
you
before.
Oh yeah,
might need
that's
to
true.
relog
You're getting the full experience here. But yeah, this is the first Smite 2 specific skin. So our first Smite 2, new to Smite 2 god.
Default equipped here.
Yeah, because you use the default selector. So
I didn't think
what
it
a
was
great
worth in
skin.
practice, but I was curious.
See, we're learning, always learning.
You can't. We don't currently have the feature for everyone to play all skins for free in practice yet either, but that'll be something we work on in the future.
Yeah, we'll get there. But yeah, so
Sommelier,
just
Big
super
Mac
Didn't
boy.
customize your Hecate
Yeah.
card, so we
I
don't
am a
see it.
sommelier stare.
You are still Sommelier. Big Mac boy knows his Big Macs.
Yeah. But no, so cool to start seeing us be able to design and implement skins just for
So
the new game.
does level up not work, Pawn?
I don't. Well, I can't bring up the.
I'll press escape,
You have to use the
Debug
debug
HUD.
menu.
and now you can use that command.
Aha!
Look at that.
Aha.
Oh,
I
so
don't remember how to get rid of the menu.
Oh, it worked.
I don't remember how to
How do you get rid of the menu again? It's a command there. End debug or something.
Oh man, see, this is why I love this.
I don't
Yeah,
know
I'm
how
just-
to get
We're
rid
just-
of
like,
the
this
menu.
is just a real experience. No, like y'all are
There's a
seeing one
command
for
to get
one
rid of
the
it.
way that we work through stuff. So
People won't mind
Debug
looking
HUD,
at
Yeah.
it.
debug,
no.
debug space HUD supposedly.
Oh,
But no, in that command line. Yeah.
Hey.
you can tell that I don't do as much in this environment versus
yeah,
dev.
more the dev environment. All right, well let's see some of the abilities for this skin. Just
Yeah.
it's
live check. But yeah, no, it's to rein it in. Super excited to see. Oh wow, that's awesome. That's cute.
no, this
It's
commands
a
are
little
not for
bit
the-
more of a cuter take on a witch. For
Yeah,
this, for
it's
this
less
skin.
like-
she's very serious by default, so we went a little bit
love the
fun for her first.
Yeah.
Similar like general theming is what you'd expect Hecate, but a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's bring up the Debug HUD again. We're going to. Oh, debug HUD again.
Sometimes it goes away, sometimes it doesn't.
Okay, now I have someone we can hit.
Now we have a Ymir to hit.
You can see a lot of the stars, the sparkly stars and moons on all the
Yeah.
particle effects here. Yeah, so this is a full, we have new skin types, which are labeled in the UI. And are labeled in the patch notes, ranking up from essentially like, tiers of rarity like you're used to in an RPG, like green, blue, purple, orange.
Yeah, it's a very cool system.
So this one has is what you'd be used to as a your normal Smite one complete skin. It's gonna have full particle effects update, voice acting update, model update.
Yeah, and overall, just again, really cool to see. And it's something that we're just now getting into being able to start with. Is again using all of this new technology and breaking into this tool and creating brand new skins for Smite 2. So very, very cool and very. I don't know, again, another one of those monumental things where we get to see our first Smite 2 god get her first actual skin. So really excited for it. I love the theme. I love the look
Get
of
the
it.
app, Mike.
But we
Get
do
the
have
app.
one more skin
Don't go to
talk
Taco Bell
which I'm
without the app.
excited
It's a
for.
trap. You
So
go
I
to
don't know,
Taco
are we
Bell,
gonna have
you
to-
get the app.
No, he should be able to switch
Yeah.
classes.
You get
So
yourself
wait, no, the skin,
the
the
app
switching
exclusive
classes
box.
per skin is a huge pain.
Is it?
Well,
It'll
yes,
save
it
you,
will
like,
autofill, and I have no
50%
clue what skin
money-
ID
money-
this is
money-
going to be.
money- dollar
that's fine.
reduce.
So we can
Well,
hop
let's
back.
go look at it on the UI and
Yeah,
then
we
load
can
in
hop back into
again.
the main.
You can
Let's
get
show
yourself a
the
cheesy
skin
gordita crunch, a
rarities.
beefy
Let's just
5-layer
show it
burrito, a
off.
side of
Hop back
Fiesta
into the main
potatoes, and a
menu.
Baja Blast for $7 instead
Because
of for like
Again,
14
couldn't
bucks.
handle the Ymir bot.
Yeah.
It's too strong.
No, he did it. He really put his heart into it. His cold, unfeeling, icy heart. So I guess to preface it before we get there, the next skin that we are about to show y'all is for Loki. We have Jokey Loki, and this one has a little bit of a preface to it. So
Also, get
this is a classic
potatoes.
Smite skin.
Get a spicy potato soft
and what
taco.
that
Do yourself a
means
favor.
is this is the type of skin that
You
you will
have
be
to.
able to purchase.
If you go to Taco Bell and you don't get a spicy
100%
potato soft
legacy
taco,
gems.
Nice.
So
I can't
there's
even
gonna be-
See,
look
it's
at you.
labeled there classic, and so it'll tell you it's sort of like rarity type and it's availability type.
Yeah. So the classic Smite skins are, a theme of skins that are going to be referenced from Smite 1, And we thought, what's a good way to do that makes sense? Because people still want these, but, it'd feel bad being like, all right, now give us all your diamonds for this. So if you have legacy gems, you can just buy it for 100% legacy gems and have that skin that you missed from Smite 1 back in your possession. So
That's right.
something we'll be able to do, and
Cool,
obviously,
cool, cool.
we'll roll these out as we're able to. It's like
I
every
guess
skin.
I'll just
it's
head
something
out
we'll
now
work on
then,
over
Tito.
time, and there'll be more as the future comes at us. But this is the first instance of it, and we're excited that it's scary clown Loki.
Yeah, and if you want to quickly,
Hop in game.
hop
Yeah,
in
let's
game,
do
we'll
it.
show off a quick demo of the abilities. It's again, it has to have all new particle effects set
I
up
think I
in
can
the new
actually,
engine.
just for quicker, because I think this will actually go through the selection
cool.
process
Ooh,
practice.
nice. Man, these menus are so clean looking. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we have the change role button in here too. That we didn't show off all this stuff. It's been in the game for a while, but you can view abilities. You can
God,
choose
I
change
hate
role, and
how
you can see
cool
the gods'
Loki
general
looks in
details,
Smite
so, like, their
2.
base
I
stats and
hate
stuff
it.
Like that. Rankings are
I
all visible
hate
to you
it.
here in the lobby.
yeah, and we kind of jumped through it, but as
But
you
damn
saw in
it,
there,
his
too, there are
model
little
is so
clocks, like,
cool in
also
Smite
on that
2.
screen, so you can see which that.
The auto build picker, the relic picker.
Yeah.
We have those new confirmed purchase confirm pop-ups to help you show when you got items, especially if you're on auto builds. You're never opening the item store. It's nice to see those to tell you when you bought
It's
something.
just so much better.
Ooh, sparkly.
That is sparkly. Ooh. The color pattern is so fun.
Yeah, he's like a mad jester, right?
Yeah.
So it fits.
It does fit very well. So, I mean, always a joy to see these things come to life with all of the new.
Are we still on any sort of particle opacity settings, Pon, or
The
lowest
sound
settings?
effects on
These
Loki
would
all
be
sound
default.
like they're back to normal. Awesome.
We changed.
Oh, because
Awesome.
Everything's on. Okay, cool. I just wanted to check, but it looks
That
good.
sounds
I
like
thought it looked
Loki
good. I just wanted to
altogether.
double check.
I love that.
Yeah, I agree.
Love the pulses.
Yeah.
There's all this like glitter kind of in there too. Like all of the
then-
particle effects are crazy.
Just to also remind people that there's all these. If you hit tab, you get access to all these cheats, and you can spawn. You can spawn a tankier bot because this Ymir is dying very fast, and he'll be level
Squishy
20.
mirror. And yeah, because I remember that system's really cool. Because like,
You can donate from whole inventory.
yeah, you can create builds for them. So you can test like build v build. Very, very intuitive, and definitely a little easier to use than like the 57 buttons on the floor. So, but
Yeah, I mean, even in here, we can call out. We still made some HUD adjustments. We've done some HUD art updates, the borders of things, to better fit the contrast of the game, better pop, so it doesn't blur into the background.
Yeah.
We adjusted the ally and enemy team bars to put the allies in a place you're more used to from Smite 1. Just a lot of stuff coming
myriad
in
of updates
constantly.
Again,
this whole practice map is a lot more fleshed out now. And
I love this
works.
outer area. You can see the outside and stuff. What the?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's gorgeous.
It is.
Practice goes hard.
Yeah.
Practice goes real hard.
Practice has no business going this hard.
Oh man! All right.
Outer
well,
lane area is also so cool.
I think we just wanted to throw off a last few things we're seeing. There's just so much went into this build.
Yeah.
We're officially done, I think, at this point with the stuff in the game build. Danny's going to do a few announcements of some really exciting out of game stuff, but this is essentially it. Any last things? Big shout outs to everyone on the dev team. Thank you so
I'm
much
sorry,
across
man.
every department.
I'm sorry.
Big thank you for the efforts you put in recently, and big thank you to all the devs for.
It's
really
time.
taking
It's
the
just
community
time for
feedback
Smite 2,
seriously.
man. It's time for the next thing.
It could be
it's
real
time to
time-consuming for us
up
to
the
filter
game
through all that and work through it, but it's worth it.
Try to
and everyone on every
grow
department has
Smite,
been on board with
you know?
that. And very humble about it, and
Smite's
it's really
been
meaningful. And I want to just thank you all for your patience and your
declining
perseverance
/ static
through your
at
hard work and
best,
your understanding of
you
this, all
know,
that
for
feedback
such a long
and all
time.
the work we did these last few weeks.
Yeah.
And just to
It's
fully
just- it's
appreciate the scale of
time.
it,
It's
definitely go
time
even if you don't
to
read all the
kick it up
patches,
a
just go scroll
notch.
through them just to get
Go through it once for Pod and
sense,
AJ.
a sense of all the things that are there. There's so many things we didn't cover, given just the time constraints of the show, that are really, really interesting, and a lot of teams have put in effort to make sure that this is the best closed alpha experience we can give you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it once earlier. 41 size 11 or 12 font, standard Times New Roman, 41 pages of Google document that made up these patch notes minimum. And again, there are still some things that maybe they cut back the wording to not be too verbose after 41 pages. It has been insane. And again, it's just a huge shout out to not only the entire team and every department who's worked tirelessly to deliver this to y'all, but for y'all as well for working with us. From the beginning, we wanted this process to be something that wasn't just us delivering a product to you. It was us working with y'all to create something that we all love, because
Absolutely.
Smite isn't just a game for a lot of people here. Smite has been a lifestyle. Smite has been a passion. And the people who have been working here, there are people who are no, I could stop working right now, but I'm having fun. I want this to be better. I'm excited about this. And the amount of time that people have just sat around working out of the passion of their hearts to make this awesome. I could talk all day about it. I'm not going to, but thank you all, Titan Forge team and community of Smite, for making this possible and for what's going to happen after Tuesday and for hopefully every year beyond. But again, a few more updates to wrap this up, because you know me, I just can't help but talk. First off, we have a little esports to talk about, so that'll be really cool. So first up, August 31st and September 1st, of course we're going to do a tournament for Smite 2. Why would we not do some tournament stuff? We're going to have fun with it. So make sure y'all check that out. Again, we have the stuff on the screen. So a 24/7 closed alpha tournament. Scan the barcode if you're interested for more information, or go to the Discord. But EMEA is August 31st, and NA is September 1st. So again, just check them out. We're getting people into the environment.
The very first weekend after it comes out. That's immediately.
Because what's more fun than playing competitively and watching these people duke it out? Beyond that, too, we have one other cool piece of information that you can look forward to tomorrow. That's Friday. So, we have our casual Friday blocks, but tomorrow we have some more than casual information we're excited to share about Vegas. So a lot of cool updates we're excited for y'all to learn. You're going to have to tune in tomorrow for those, though. So mark it on your calendars and get ready, or just leave Twitch up for the next 24 hours. So now we're moving into community news. Now, this is another really exciting thing that I'm super happy to share as we launch in to Smite 2's 24/7 closed alpha 1, August 27th in the morning. We'll be having Twitch drops available for Smite 2 as well.
I don't
as
even
Smite
know
1.
about
So
these
to go
yet.
over the Twitch drops, for one, these are going to be category wide. Specifically, we are going to have legacy gems and Smite 1 viewer points are available category wide. So regardless of who
So you don't really lose anything by watching Smite 2.
Nope.
Instead of Smite 1.
Not a thing.
That's the main thing.
That is the main thing. You go watch some Smite 2. You're still earning your rewards. Don't even worry about it. So again, category-wide legacy gems and Smite 1 viewer points. Now, creator program exclusive. If you're in the creator program, or you've been thinking, I want to get into that Smite 2 creator program, we definitely encourage you to try, make content, have fun, join the community. They're amazing. And if you're in the creator program, you have some exclusive drops. So the first two are the God Champ title and badge. So 2 super cool rewards, but you'll also be able to, by watching people who are in the creator program, you'll be able to earn the Meltdown Soul skin
Okay.
for
the
Smite
soul
2.
skin.
So specifically, you will be earning that skin that you see there
Okay.
for Smite 2.
So you can get a soul
So,
skin
you know,
for
watch
watching.
anybody
Cool.
if you want to get the free viewer points and legacy
Cool,
gems,
cool, cool.
or find somebody who's part of the creator program to earn the title
It's
badge
also
and
cool that
skin
you
for
earn
Smite
legacy
2.
gems
So
for
a
watching.
lot of really
That's
cool
like
rewards. And it is worth
huge.
noting as well that the soul skin you see there is going to be a free Twitch drop for a while. So, you know, go support a creator, watch them, enjoy the content, see Smite 2 in action. But if you don't have the time or you happen to miss this, at some point in the future, you will be able to get the Meltdown Soul Skin for Legacy Gems as one of those classic Smite purchases. So if you happen to miss it, don't worry, we got it. But beyond that, go support a creator and, you know, enjoy some of the new content from the game, because there are people who I know are just so excited to get in and start making incredible
Good.
Smite 2 content.
Good.
And we are right
Good,
around the
good.
corner from that being available all the time. But wow, I think
Is that it?
I'm scared to say it, but that's it. We did it. We
There's
talked like
always
way
more
too.
in the actual doc.
Oh yeah.
There's probably some things we forgot.
It's not even 5. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Hey, we're supposed to
Chat for
clean
9
this up
minutes?
right at 5 so I can get home in time for the family and dinner, huh?
There we go. Look at that. We got AJ home for his family, and that's what Smite's
you,
all
team.
about.
Thank
Is
you.
family. So again,
I don't want to be evil 80s dad.
fair enough. Thank y'all so much again
Okay.
for joining us for this show, for joining us on this journey,
That
and
was
for
great.
getting excited for Smite. Again, I'm going to say it one more time. 24/7 next week. The only way to get guaranteed access is to pick up one of those Founders Editions. We will be doing, you know, code giveaways. You can sign up on smite2.com for code giveaways. But the
Ranked,
only way to
permanent progress,
Yeah,
no
ranked.
resets.
True. Permanent progress is important.
Yeah, cosmetics are yours to own forever.
Yeah,
Hell
this
yeah,
is like
brother.
your
If
account.
you have Divine Legacy transfer or linking
Think you're
issues,
most
make a
excited
support
for
ticket,
besides access in general?
all that stuff
Ranked.
should be functioning.
New
make
ranked.
sure that you're playing through the
Hell
Smite
yeah.
2 launcher. We're not doing Smite 2 like early access. Like the actual Smite 2 launcher will be the one to use moving forward.
It was a
because we are
3-hour patch though, but it
transitioning
was
into,
worth it.
Like this
It
is
was.
Smite 2. You're building your progress. Like we're not resetting things.
This is the game.
The game is
Yep.
opening for the first time, and hopefully 9 years from now in an update show, I'll probably have a cane for some reason, and I'll be like, "Welcome back." So, but either way, it's super excited, and yeah,
up,
thank
Destroy?
y'all all so much for being here on the show. Thank you, Max, for joining us earlier. KD for saving us in the game,
Yep.
and for everybody who's worked on this and poured their heart and soul into it for the last, I don't know, year and a half or more. So we're excited to see y'all on Tuesday. Excited to hear what you have to say, and excited to play some Smite 2 moving into the future. Thanks, everyone, and goodbye.
Fantastic. Massive W overall. Even cooler for us. We get the Smite 2 drops, right? Which we so it's a soul skin, which is cool. Plus, you know, a title and the avatar. But from what I understood right then, Smite 1, you're going to get Smite 1 viewer points even if you're watching Smite 2. But if you're watching Smite 2, you're going to get legacy gems? I feel like that's a huge W. They had not mentioned anything of that to us. So it looks like just in general for watching Smite 2, you're going to get to collect legacy gems the way that you collected viewer points for Smite 1. That's a huge win to people that are playing Smite 2 for the first time. Like, if you've got 500,000 legacy gems, it doesn't really matter. But, like, if you're a new player, you know, and you don't have any legacy gems, being able to get some legacy gems to make stuff 50% off for you is, like, freaking awesome. Like, that's a crazy good reward. Infinitely better than the viewer point system for Smite 1 was. Way better. So that's crazy exciting. Everything in that patch is good. Everything is exciting. Game goes live Tuesday at 7 a.m. EST, so earlier than we normally start stream, but I'm going to try to be here for the servers going live, so our stream's going to be super duper early on Tuesday. And yeah, so tomorrow will be our penultimate Smite stream. So that is going to be our second to last Smite stream, with our very last Smite 1 stream being on Monday. So thank you guys for coming out today. I do appreciate it. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, folks, have a twitchin' a day, y'all.